welcome back to the Blue Collar Off-Road Podcast, episode 174. I'm Graham. I'm here with Luke, Cody, and Richie. And we have Josh Dautenhahn.
Yeah, that was so
Did
close.
I get that right?
I was so close.
Oh, yeah, it's close. You're good. You're good. Dautenhahn.
Dautenheim. Heim?
Dautenhahn. Han.
Dautenheim, not Dautenheim.
You actually weren't that far off. I'm pretty impressed. You only heard it one time,
Yeah.
and you almost had it.
Yeah.
I could do German last names. I don't know why. They just make sense.
Yeah.
They're structured well. Josh has a wonton Comanche. His Instagram is WontonManche. It's red. Where else are we going with this, Cody? You bug me.
Honestly, I do, but I was trying to let you cook. You know, you had the name part right. So I thought you were on a roll there for a second. But no, I mean, just tell us about yourself.
Okay.
Where you from? How'd you get into the wheeling? You know, what you got? Where'd you start from? The whole 9 yards.
So the first thing is my last name loosely in German means dead rooster or dead hen. So I've been called dead cock before, which is kind of funny. but
that might just have
is that an animal fact?
Name.
Does that count?
No, I got one of those for later on.
Oh hell yeah! We haven't done one in a while.
I researched. It's fine.
Attaboy. That's the type of shit we like to see.
No, I got started wheeling. My first vehicle was a 92 Cherokee, XJ on some 3950s, and here in the Midwest, mudding, or that was our off-roading basically. But I mean, other than that, I was a poor high school student, couldn't afford much. You know, I used to, you know how like kids, when you're a kid, you go through like the Toys R Us magazine and circle like what you wanted for Christmas.
Mhm.
That was me with the Quadratech magazines back in the day, circling what mods I wanted to do to the Cherokee or whatever. Like the old Fab 4s? They had that tube pre-runner bumper.
I don't know if it was Fab Fours, but I know the one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was like, looking back now, it's really, really gaudy looking.
Yeah,
The
because of the
winch
big
bumper.
metal plate. Because of the big metal plate on the front of it or whatever. I don't think it was Fab Fours. It was something four though, I think, or something like that. I don't know, but I thought that
This
was like
for
the cool
Cherokee?
Yeah.
This is the Wayback Machine here, Graham.
Does it? I feel like my old bumper kind of resembles the description.
It was a pre-runner bumper. It looked like a pre-runner bumper, like you'd see like on a pre-runner truck, basically.
Yeah, I guess mine doesn't fit that bill quite. Mine was like I forget what it was, but
Yours was the boner bar.
yeah, but it was It was a store-bought bumper that somebody welded a stinger onto.
I missed that stinger. That stinger was kind of cool.
It was time for it to go. It was beat to shit, but it was funny.
I still say you should have made a new one.
It was just so like mid 2000s. I feel like just that whole
And-
style of bumper.
It was the definition of you, Graham.
It was good at removing rear windows.
Yeah, that was
anyways.
one thing I was never into, was the big stingers. This one wasn't a stinger. Like it had it had a hoop on it, but it wasn't obnoxious, I guess is what I should say.
So you have this. Was it on like axles or anything, or did you just slap 39.5s on it and call it a day?
No, it was 3950s, like 30-inch tires on
Oh,
like 951. So basically, I was a poor high school kid and thought off-roading was mudding, and then, you know, that's what it was.
Yeah, I get that. I remember like my first XJ had the 235/75 R15 Goodyear Wrangler all-terrains, and I thought those were the hottest shit.
Mine had Bridgestone dualers on it.
Hell yeah.
So, but yeah, so I had that for all throughout high school, and then I hydroplaned in on the highway, on the interstate, and hit that into a guardrail and basically bent the unibody up to where it wasn't straightenable or anything like that. So got rid of that. Got I want to say it was like an 01 or 02, like Jimmy. Hated that thing. Shittiest vehicle ever. I don't know why. Like the Blazers, like those Blazers of that time period. So like it was like more like like the S10. You know what the S10s looked like? That body style from like '03 and stuff like that.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
blobs.
Yeah, the blobs. So this was the Jimmy version of it. For some reason, the Jimmys were shittier than the Blazers, even though they were basically the same vehicle. I don't know why, but this is how it was. So then I got rid of that, got like an '01 XJ, drove that for a little bit. My little brother got the Jimmy. He rolled the Jimmy. Then I gave him the '01 XJ. I got an '89 Comanche when I was in college. Had fun with that for a little bit. Again, took it mud and blew up the motor actually. And I got a 4.0 for it and just never fixed it because I was a poor college student again. And I sold it like an idiot for like $450 back in the day.
Well, that was kind of like the vibe back then, because you could just go buy another one for like $750 that was in better shape than what you had.
Yeah, I mean, it was the 4.0, 5-speed, full drive, and like now that's a hot commodity, evidently.
Yup.
People are paying like $5,000 for those now or whatever, you know. But I
I
laughed at
just
them.
You're
I-
talking at least a few grand up here for one that's completely rotted apart.
Yeah,
You
it's
know-
freaking insane.
and that makes me chuckle at this point because I have mutilated what was a clean, no rust, like $300 XJ when I bought it, and now it's just like a chunk of metal.
Well, yeah, like I mean, I'm on all things Comanche or whatever, and like a lot of the purist sites and stuff, and it's just like it's crazy when people like ask, "Oh, what's my Comanche worth?" And it's like, well, people are like, "Oh, 15 grand." I'm like, they weren't even worth 15 grand when they came off the showroom floor. People like they're not a collector's item. They have a cult following. Like they're not like they're rarer than a Ferrari. I'm like, yes, that might be the case, but they're not as collectible as a Ferrari. So they're not gonna bring as much money as a Ferrari or any kind of vehicle of that matter like that.
No,
Hey,
none of them are luxury
the
vehicles.
the fucking problem is people are stupid enough to pay that price. So
Yep.
they're going to
Yeah.
keep getting higher and higher.
Yeah, that's what's shitty about it. It's insane because like, so the first Comanche I had, the one that I blew up, I bought it for $1,500 from an old guy. It had some rot in the rockers and in the bed, like normal, like whatever. So it wasn't terrible. Floorboards were good. But I just blew up the 4.0, blew the head gasket up, like warped the head pretty damn good and stuff like that. And so I had, like I said, I had a 4.0 for it. Just didn't have the time or the space to put it in. So then I sold the 4.0 that I bought, sold the Comanche. And then I went to an '01 XJ from my cousin that was on a Rusty's 4.5 with like a 33-inch tires or whatever. And like, I didn't really wheel that because it was my daily driver and I didn't want to break it or whatever. Cause I was like, you know, like the new Wrangler owners. Oh my God, I got a Jeep, but I don't want to take it off road cause I don't want to break it, you know, kind of stuff. And so I realized, you know, you don't always break when you go off road kind of stuff. And then
Could you
That's a
tell my
person-
Jeep that?
It's a personal choice unless you're Luke's fuel pump, then it's just guaranteed.
oh, for sure, I get that. But yeah, so I had the '01 XJ for a little bit when once I got out of college and stuff, and the transmission pump started on the AW4 started going bad or whatever, and so I was kind of out of it, done with the XJ stuff for a while, so I sold it to a buddy of mine. He still has it to this day. He put an 8.8 in it with and now he just did a WJ knuckle swap on the front end, so he's still wheeling that. So that's kind of cool to see that out. I go wheeling with him all the time. But after the '01 XJ, I got a '93 YJ. No, not a '93. Sorry, an '89 YJ with a Weber carb and all that shit. You know, you get on an incline, it'll sputter and die and stuff like that.
Sounds like
Um,
my XJ.
Yeah, so I had that for a good year or two, and then again hit a guardrail. Me and guardrails don't mix, evidently.
Clearly.
Bent the frame off. Sorry, what?
That's just holy shit. Sounds exciting.
Yeah, so Interstate 44. So basically, like old Route 66, kind of follows the same path or whatever. I hit the guardrail on the right side, slid across all 4 lanes of traffic, hit the other guardrail, and then slid back across 3 lanes of traffic. Didn't get hit by a car somehow, miraculously.
Well, that's lucky at least.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. It was a shitty situation. Like, there's a AAA truck in front of me with a car on the rollback, and then the car like on the dolly portion of it, I guess. And I didn't see his brake lights, and so like, dummy me, instead of just like stopping and not swerving, I swerved and I just lost control at that point. So it was all on me at that point.
Oof.
But I miss a little YJ. I dream like now. I'm like, that thing would probably be on wontons, and I wouldn't have the Comanche probably at this point.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be WontonManche. It would just be another YJ in a sea of wonton YJs.
Exactly. So basically I let insurance have that or whatever. I didn't buy it back or anything like that because it was complete loss. The front end was all just fucked up on it. So I got an '03 TJ that I had for probably 3 to 4 years. It was just a 4.5-inch lift with 33s. Wheeled it a few times. Then COVID hit about around that time, and I was like, I had a daily at that point, so I was ready to build something at that point, and so I was looking at TJ, and I was like, yeah, I could stretch it front and rear, but I'm not really a fan of how people stretch TJs. I think they look disproportionate and look just not dumb, but they just don't look right to me, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yep.
I feel like that was just mentioned on the podcast a few episodes ago.
Yep. We definitely did talk about it. And it seems like it's most people, maybe not everybody, probably not people with TJs that are stretched on wontons, but they just look goofy. And they don't look right.
Yeah, because I mean, like, it's like you see a bouncer, even though like they're stretched like they are, they still look kind of proportionate, I guess, with the chassis and the axles. But
Mhm.
like a TJ stretch as much as some people stretch them, it's like it doesn't look right to me. I mean, I'm not a big fan of comp cuts anyway. Like that's not my
Really?
favorite. I'm not a fan of comp cuts really.
Is it just for a looks effect, or like it just doesn't do it for you? What's the reasoning?
Like I don't mind a comp cut. Like I don't know. Like even if like even with my Comanche, like if I were to like tube the rear out, I try to keep the bed sides. I wouldn't dovetail it or anything like that. I like body lines. I like the look of a full body rig because I think it's cooler. The fact that someone's wheeling a full body rig rather than cutting it all up to make room for stuff. I mean, maybe that's just me. I'm not saying that.
No, that's I agree with you in a lot of ways in that. I think you can make a Jeep into like a Jeep buggy thing and have it look cool, but I also, I'm sort of in the same boat. My rig has, while it doesn't have many original body lines left, it's still the general shape of one. So like, there's something to be said for keeping something proportion wise like it was from the factory for the most part.
Yeah. And that's why I like Ian Johnson's LJ that he built with the Goat built frame, with the Goat built chassis. Like it's kind of cool that he put the body panels, even though they're from a TJ, and he extended them or whatever. It still looks like an LJ at that point. That's my thing.
Yeah, you can look at it and say, and you know what kind of car that is or what the base platform was. Yeah. It's not so far gone that it's just the suggestion of what it was originally.
Yeah, and so like I mean, even like Aaron, MJ Carlin, his I love his MJ. I mean, but it still looks like an MJ, even though it's a Truggy.
Yep.
But I like how
it's super cool in person.
Like yeah, I'm sure it is. It looks really cool. Like, I mean, he was kind of not that I don't say he's an inspiration, but like I aspire kind of to be kind of like that. But I still don't like the dove nose or the dovetail. I like it to, you'd be able to have a usable bed, I guess, at that point.
See, now that's something that I'm currently struggling with, right? Because, not to go too far into it, but I'm moving. The location that I will be working on stuff, i.e. Logan's, is moving. And we're going to an enclosed area and everything. So my ability to do larger scale projects is increasing. And the more that I look over the rig as I've been doing the work, it's like, damn, this thing's getting fucking hammered. Where do I go next? And on one hand, I could easily make the call to keep it full-bodied or make the call to dove nose it, and neither is the wrong choice.
Well, no, it's not. I'm not saying it's the wrong choice. It's just my personal opinion. I like looking at. I like someone who can make a full body rig work like a dove nosed vehicle or whatever. At that point, you know what I'm saying? That's my thing.
I feel like it also depends too, because some rigs earn it, other rigs don't. Like
Oh, for
when
sure.
if you hammered it to the point where like none of the original unibody mounts that hold the front fenders together are in like one piece anymore, all right, it's a lot easier to make a case for dove nosing it than it is if the whole front section that holds the header panel is still intact.
Oh, for sure, and I get that. Like tube work, and I love looking at tube work and stuff like that too. Like seeing guys' craftsmanship with all this stuff like that. It's like it's just personally, like I would like to not get to that point, but I'm not saying that I'm not going to get to that point at some point because I've already done the bedsides and stuff on mine. So it's like it's not. It might get up, might not. We'll just see what happens at that point.
I feel like it's a sliding scale of inevitability once the 40s go on.
No, it's discipline. I mean, look at MJ Crawlin's rig. I don't know how the hell that dude keeps that thing so clean. I mean, he doesn't baby it, but he's just always. I feel like to some extent he must have. I know because I've watched him wheel. Like he's just not. He doesn't want to. He completely destroying it is never the plan. Like he's never going to hit something that he knows isn't going to work or is going to just like completely demolish some part on purpose at least.
Yeah.
I mean there's body damage on the thing. Like he does use it when it needs to happen or when he's in a situation where it doesn't have any other options. Yeah, of course it's going to happen, but he doesn't go out of his way I mean that makes it sound like people who have smashed up rigs go out of their way.
I'm listening intently here.
I'm listening.
Carry on. Come on.
Oh, let
let's
me
go.
write this down.
He has some regard for body damage. And
Okay, and
That-
you have regard
is-
for body damage on yours because you're
I
trying to keep
used
the
to.
same full body?
I used to, but there's I lost my train of thought because you guys are all making fun of me.
Yeah, well, you earned it with that one. So carry on.
He doesn't go out of his way to like run into a rock if he doesn't have to. I think is what Graham's trying to say. Like, there's a rock there, he's going to try to find a line to where he doesn't have to hit it.
Yeah, and
pop
I'll
out,
agree with that.
Or like
Yeah,
just scrape the body along it necessarily. I mean, if it's like a dumb line and it isn't gonna work, and like he knows it's probably not gonna work, like
back off of it or whatever.
and I don't know. We should probably have him on so he can speak for himself.
Sure.
I'm surprised we
Yeah,
haven't.
Let's not make assumptions
Hey.
on Aaron.
I've tried to make that happen. We just get left on red.
Ooh,
Somebody
now you're throwing
convince him to
shade.
come on. We all know him at this point. Or at
Yeah,
least we've wheeled with him several times at this point. So
we'll
It'd be
we'll
fun to have
harass
on.
him at the meet and beat.
Yeah. So I guess with the O3, the TJ that I had, I wanted to build something. So I was looking at it and I was like, you know what? You see so many TJs, you see so many LJs, or maybe not even LJs, but like you see so many TJs, JKs, JKUs, Gladiators at that point. I was like, you see so many of them. I want to build something different. So I was like, well, I was looking at XJs. MJ really didn't cross my mind too much because I was like, it's a truck. There's no way that that's going to be a good wheeler or whatever at that point. And then, so I sold. So I was looking, then all of a sudden, my MJ showed up in southern Missouri, probably about 3.5 hours away from me, for $1,700. This old guy couldn't get it to run right. He put a new fuel pump in it, put a new gas tank in it, did a bunch of shit, got it to run kind of decently, and then he said it wouldn't shift out at first. And I was like, whatever, fine. I'm not worried about that. I'll figure that out because I'm going to build into a trail rig anyway, so it's not a big deal. So I sold my TJ for like $5,500, like an idiot again. I should have held on to it because it probably was worth $10,000, a couple years later. But so I sold that morning, that afternoon, I had the Comanche on the trailer heading back to my house. And then
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, so that's kind of when the build started. I really like if I had the money at the time, I would have done fabricated nines and stuff like that because I don't know. Do you guys remember that red Comanche that Butler built it? Does that make sense? I believe in Jeep
Yes,
had a
yes.
video on.
It's
It was a Butler built.
like an Ultra
Yeah.
4-ish one.
Yes,
Yeah.
that one has been a bit of an inspiration for me with the goat built chassis below it and the Fab 9s and everything. Just the
So
way
I was
that
like,
it was tied in.
oh yeah, and like so that was I was like, I want that, and then like I started pricing out like fabricated nines, all the shit they went into it and stuff. I was like, man, I go, I'm not a fabricator myself. I don't weld. I will admit that my brother did all the welding on my Jeep, on my Comanche. But I was there every step of the way. Every time he was there welding, I was there helping him, telling him where to weld stuff. He works with Jerry Haas race cars. So basically, he's building pro mods and stuff that go like 200 something miles an hour. So I trust his welds. I trust his welds more than I trust my own welds at that point because I wanted this done because I'm the type that like I'll start on a project and then if it doesn't get done in a quote unquote timely manner, I'll give up on it and it'll
I
just go to the
feel that.
wayside.
So, I mean, not necessarily timely manner, but just like consistent moving forward, even if it's progress, or even if it's not much progress, at least progress is progress, kind of a thing.
Yeah, for sure. Because like I didn't trust, because I have never welded before. I knew that if I was trying to learn to weld as I was building this thing, I wouldn't trust my welds, I guess, to be safe on the trail or whatever.
Mhm.
I wanted a competent welder to do it at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's nothing
like-
wrong with that. That's not everybody's thing. Some people just suck at welding. I'm
Yeah.
not a great welder, but my stuff hasn't broken. And I had a
and
lot of
Sorry,
projects
go
that
ahead.
didn't matter, right? To sort of play around on, right? So
Yeah, and it's not that I don't want to learn to weld. It's just at the time I wanted to get it done.
yeah,
So like I was like, well, he knows how to weld. He's more than willing to help me do it because he thought it was a cool project anyway. So that's why he really wanted to put his hands in it too. So it was like one of those things. So like everybody's like, well, you didn't build it, blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, but I didn't buy it either. Kind of, the built versus bought
Yeah.
thing or whatever kind of thing. It's like, who cares if I had someone else weld it for me?
yeah. No, at that point, you
using-
built it. You
Yeah.
came up with the plans and had a lot to do with everything minus the welding. The welding is only a fraction of the work it involved in like finalizing positioning on stuff when you're building something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I mean, all the research was mine. That's my
Yeah.
biggest thing. I did all the research. I figured out everything. Like I basically just told them, "Hey, glue this piece of metal to this piece of metal," and then at that point.
And I used to be really hard on people about that, but like at this point I kind of get it too, because sometimes your situation is just limited. And I was always lucky to have the shops that I had, and I was always lucky to have been supported by my dad with like the interest in getting into welding, and he had the torches and he had the welder, and like how many other 15-year-olds are out there cutting plates with the torch to practice their welds so that way when they finally can like actually get this Jeep together, they know how to weld competently on it. And I'm not saying I'm even that good of a welder because like I would say I'm maybe like a 5.5 out of 10 compared to what is out there.
Oh yeah, for sure, and I get that. Like, but I hate those guys that honestly they're all keyboard warriors. Like, oh my god, you didn't weld it yourself. Like you're like, how can you call it a build at that point? It's like, well, I mean, what's the difference in someone going to pay a shop to do it? Like,
Yep.
I mean,
Or having somebody else do it, having their buddy do it. There's a lot of rigs like that too. Nothing wrong with that.
Mhm.
I mean,
oh
some
no,
people
no,
don't have the
and-
time or don't have the they can't.
I'm
they
more of
don't
a-
have
I'm-
the yeah.
I'm more on the side of like, hey, if you got it done, go out and use it. Then that's my thing. Is whatever gets you out on the trails. Then whatever you do, what you got to do. because I like this sport is dying. It's not dying, but like we're getting limited on what we can do with our rigs in a lot of places. So it's like whatever can get you out on the trail to show people, hey, this is what we love to do. Like that's my biggest thing. I could care less if you went and spent $100,000 on a rig that someone else built. I don't really care. As long as you're out there enjoying a sport that I love and we can enjoy it together, that's totally fine with me.
Yep.
Yeah, that's reasonable enough. I can't argue with it. And that's a hot take as far as the sport dying, but it's also
Yeah.
not incorrect either, because I think more people are getting into it, but I think that we're fighting a more
Wrong
uphill.
reasons.
Yeah, I'll give you that too, but I also think we're fighting an uphill battle to keep parks open and functional.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the wrong reasons. There was a couple ways you could read that one.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to say it's dying. I don't mean that, but it's just I think like I go back to the pirate days because like I used to thumb through pirate scroll through pirate all the time. Like never said anything because I knew I get my ass ruined. But it's like I'm not saying those
I
old
feel like that was most people.
yeah. Yeah, I'm not saying like those old guys are wrong, but I don't think they're right in the sense of like they weren't helping the sport either at the same time. Like this guy is trying to ask a question and then you're just gonna go fucking berate him. Like you're gonna scare him away at that point. But I mean, if it was a stupid question, then yes, I understand it. But like it's one of those things like I'm part of a Jeep club. I know people hate Jeep clubs or whatever, for whatever reason. I mean, it's just one of those things. But it's like our Jeep club's kind of based on the fact that like, hey, let's help grow the sport just so that we don't lose it, I guess is my thing.
I think, this podcast wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the club scene in New England, because that's the only way that you can actually wheel in New England. And it's been nothing but a net positive for us.
For everyone involved, really. Anybody who's
Yeah.
actively part of a club in New England, I think, is getting something out of it. Whether that
Now-
be access to wheeling or access to people with good knowledge. And I think there's a lot of places have some pretty negative stigmas about clubs because they don't have that. And that's just because they haven't been a
And
part
because
of a
they just
club
think
that,
it's like
Yeah.
Facebook clubs. You know what I mean? Like I feel like, especially places where you don't need a club to wheel, I feel like they have that negative stigma for sure.
Yeah,
And I mean,
like,
but if you look at something like the trail trash guys, they're not a club, but there's how many of them? There's like 10, 15 of them. They're basically a club.
yeah,
there's
they
not-
are.
You're
kind
not
of.
wrong there.
They're basically a club. They're not officially a club. Like there's no.
They're a group.
They're a
that would
group.
be
and
a-
it's
there's
the
no
same
dudes
difference.
involved.
Yeah.
There's no dudes involved. It's whatever. It's fine. But I don't know. Like it's just one of those things. Like I just hate. Like I don't know. Like I just want everybody and like I guess I'm gonna be a hippie at this point. What I'm trying to say is like I just want everybody to enjoy everybody. Like yes, general ribbing, like giving people shit. Like I do it all the time too. But it's like it comes to a point where it's like okay, they're out enjoying just because they're not out there doing field and forest trails, but they're just they're out there doing the green trails or whatever. Doesn't make them less of a jeeper or less of an off-roader than you, just because they haven't gotten to that point yet. Is my
No,
thing.
yeah,
That's what
everybody-
that's what I don't like seeing.
Yeah, everyone's at different stages with stuff. And
The
people,
thing I don't
Some
like
people
about
never get that far too, and that's totally okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. The only pushback that I have to give is that down here, a lot of the quote unquote club culture that I have been exposed to has been more of the SEMA type culture. Like, if you see any of the Jeep meets that are, or clubs that are down here, it's like, 22s with 37s that are not into wheeling. So that's part of what really helps to generate the negative stigma down here. At least that's my opinion on it. I'm not gonna try and say that I know every club in existence down here because I'm not part of any clubs down here. I feel like I'm pretty lucky to have, met up with the trail trash guys, met up with Logan, met up with all of them. So I'm never at a shortage of people to go riding with when my shit is actually together.
Oh, for sure, and I get that, and that's fine. Like I said, I'm not like it's just I always just get because I was on the board for our club last year, and I was director of trails, what they called it. So basically, like for any of our club events, I had to like find guides and gunners for our groups, stuff like that.
Mm.
And a lot of the times is guide people wouldn't step up to like guide like the newbies is what I like to call them, like the ones in. So here in Missouri, we have we have a number system, not color code, I guess. I mean, it's different
Yeah.
every.
That
Um,
fucked with us when we went to S'more. What
oh
the
yeah,
fuck is
yeah.
a 6?
Yeah. We're on a 5. Is that a red? No.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it depends.
But yeah. So like you're more mild trails or whatever. So I would step up even though I was on 40s and 1 tons, just because I like the fact of like I can teach someone, get someone out of their comfort zone a little bit, but not too far out of the comfort zone that they hate that they quit the hobby kind of thing. Like it was awesome seeing like these people conquer stuff that they didn't think their Jeep could do at that point. Like that's what was cool. And now looking back, now I'm tired of it. Now I want to go do harder stuff. But it's just one of those things. Like it's a catch-22 kind of thing.
I mean, honestly, I'm with you there on leading some of the easier trails. I don't care. I mean, I'm still out wheeling, even though it's not like the hard stuff. It's sometimes my Jeep needs a break, and it's fun to just kind of just go and cruise
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
and watch
sure.
other people have tons of fun on stuff that like I've outgrown, but that doesn't mean that it's not enjoyable. And to see
it
other people have
also-
a lot of fun is really cool. Like it's not like yes, I'd be more engaged in a lot of it probably if we were doing some stupid trail that I could bash my shit off the rocks or trees or whatever's there. But at the same time, it's like it's fun to see. I was at the point one time where I was like, "Wait, my Jeep can drive over a log if I drive over it diagonally. What the fuck?" Like
Yeah,
it
right.
was
Yeah,
it was just
it's one of
mind
those
blowing, and
things,
it just brings you back to those like the simpler moments that everybody's had, that everybody who's learned how to off road at some point was at a point where they weren't comfortable on really basic stuff.
Not only that though, but it's also just fun as fuck when you're doing that type of stuff to just pick the most obtuse line you can up that trail just to be an idiot.
Oh yeah, and that's what I would do too. Is I just there'd be this random rock in the middle of the trail that I would climb over just to be like, oh yep, I can do this.
Yep.
And then I tell them, don't follow me because you might flip over. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just one of those things. Like, but to that point, which is really funny. So we had in our club last weekend we had a trail leader / recovery like class. So basically, we just like went over like what does it take to be like a guide on a trail, like spotting, some recovery basics because I'm not an expert in recovery, but like just use your common sense type stuff when you're recovering a vehicle. And
Yeah, make sure it's in gear or it's in park. You
yeah,
know,
right, yeah,
if it's in a really, really shitty spot, hook 2 winches up, 1 winch to the front so it can't go rolling down the mountain, the other winch to the side to flip it back over. Simple shit
Yeah.
like that, basically.
yeah. So the day before the actual class, me and the guy that were running the class, we went out there with my Comanche, and he brought out his XJ on 31s. Him and I had the most fun on those trails in his XJ. We were laughing like little schoolgirls because it was just like it got us back to our roots. We're like, this is where we started, and you have to be like in a rig that small. You have to be smart about your lines on certain trails, and it makes you like think more than like, hey, I have 40s and 1 tons. I can climb basically almost any like not anything, but you know what I'm saying. It's a lot easier
Yeah.
to climb some of this stuff.
You
It
know,
humbles you for sure.
and I'm kind of hoping that this year at the Web Wheelers Ball, we have a smaller group because I wouldn't mind going out one of the days, like especially if it's the Sunday, for example, and just cruising around the park, doing some easier trails with some cool people that are not on 1 tons. It'd be perfectly fine and kind of fun for me.
That's fucking boring. I wouldn't want to hang out with you, loser.
Well, I mean, your Jeep's not running, so
Whoa, 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 whoa. It runs. I could go out there right now and crank that son of a bitch. It just
I
hasn't
think he was
driven.
talking about me.
no, I was talking about Cody.
Oh,
Is it
never mind.
wheelable, Cody?
Maybe. I mean, so again, it's one of those things that like I hate being a trail scab. So yes, it's runnable. Yes, it's wheelable. But like my shackle is fucking bent in half, and my power steering sucks dick. So like, yes, it's wheelable, but would I want to wheel it? Not fucking really. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't want to be that guy that's.
He bought some
yeah.
really big pants, and he doesn't have a belt, so he doesn't want to go out because he's scared his pants are gonna fall down. Because he
Gotcha.
knows what
No.
good pants are
Yeah,
supposed to feel like.
yeah. That I was trying to follow you, and like,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
can
think that
follow
I
that.
think that
Analogy.
analogy, that's the word. I was gonna say
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
allegory, but that's not right.
yeah.
Was I thought it was pretty good.
I mean,
Yeah, no,
I
it was
tracked with it.
great. It was great.
Luke agrees. If Luke can follow it, almost anyone can. That's
I'm special.
But I mean, so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna be seeing some more stuff out of Cody later on this season, right, Cody?
Oh yeah, for sure, without a doubt, absolutely.
And
No, I had to give us a shit.
As soon as possible is the answer. As soon as I can figure out what's going on, you guys will know what's going on.
also, you know, this is a perfect opportunity to turn the Eye of Sauron over to Richie. When are you
So-
gonna be wheeling there, buddy? Old
So-
pal.
In theory, the plan is to have the Comanche ready for the club's July trip.
You're
Okay.
not wheeling it
Okay.
at AOP?
No,
Why not?
because I don't want to fuck it up before I
Drive it to AOP.
put everything on. No,
Yes.
no, because if I drive it to AOP, it's going on the trails, and I don't want to do that because it's not ready.
It's ready.
It's not.
Anyways. It's gonna be at the Web Wheelers Ball, right, Richie?
Yes, it will.
I will
Nice.
hold you to that, and every other episode, I will remind you that you have a Comanche to get ready for the Web Wheelers Ball.
Yeah, no, because I was actually talking to Preston about it earlier today, and if my math is right, I'll have about a month and a half to do everything to get ready for the club trip in July, which I think is a fairly reasonable time frame pending shipping dates.
That's reasonable enough. I'll give you that.
How are you getting it? That's shipping is that's something that crossed my mind earlier today. I was like, how is he getting it back?
Well, I'm driving down at the end of May to pick it up.
Oh,
okay.
there you go.
Nice.
No, you're gonna flat tow it behind the trailer on the way back, Graham.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, mine
It'll be-
probably will be just a pile of spoons at
Parts.
that point, so I can just take his back.
And sorry, to go back to the pirate 4x4 thing, because this just came to me. It's kind of funny that Cody has the pirate 4x4 double flip off smiley over his inspection sticker, and I'm still trying to find those stickers because pirate was one of those like very inspirational things for me, and
Oh,
it's
yeah.
We spent a lot of time oogling at stuff on Pirate back in the day.
yeah,
sad-
like
It is a sad day in hell, though, Luke. I will say, that whatchamacallit, that sticker has faded.
ah.
Yeah,
I need to get another one just because, like, I feel like I've got my, you know, shoot your local pedophile on one side, the blue collar off road sticker on the other side. I need the pirate 4x4 flip off sticker to cover the dent right below it that someone graciously put in.
So I'm assuming I'm older than all of you.
Probably.
28, so
I'm 35, so I'm
I'm
assuming I'm
13.
older.
Yes.
You're 13.
Yep, I'm 13.
God, I'm such a fucking filthy mouth on this one.
So I guess I'll go back into the Comanche. Get off
Yeah,
on another
probably.
tangent, I guess. So brought the Comanche home that day. We're trying to plan stuff out or whatever. So I I went to a local like salvage yard to get my axles. They're '07 axles out of a Harley Davidson edition, so they're 410s. I paid probably more than I should have paid for them, but they pulled them and everything. I just had to pick them up. And then that way I got to pick my gear ratio too, because I knew that I don't know how to do gears, and I knew that I wouldn't have the money to put new gears in them right away. So I figured 410s will work for now for what I needed to do. So that's where I started at, was with Super Duty 60 and a Sterling 10.5. Bought the Artec swap truss, and then was just going to do coils and stuff. And then I didn't like how they bow out on the Artec truss, just because the mounts are just wider than what the stock unibody ones are.
Mhm.
And I didn't really want to figure out how to like straighten up the shock mounts. So that's when I decided to go ORIs in the front with a 3-link.
How do you like the ORIs?
I don't hate them. I think the good thing is I don't have them in the rear yet, so I'm still stable because I still have leaf springs in the rear.
Mhm.
Like you were talking about last week, Graham. Like my leaf springs keep me stable. Like that's just,
Yep.
I mean,
Well, it
and,
just
like-
keeps the front working before the rear. There's less
Yeah.
weight in the back, so the back's always going to drag because the axle's heavy and the body isn't.
yeah. Well, and like my ORS have never unloaded on me that from what I've felt while I've been crawling or whatever. Like I've heard some people, and I don't know if that's because mine are the STXs compared to like with the older ones or whatever. But I'm only running like 90 pounds of pressure in my lowers, and like I think the uppers are like 170, but that's just for ride height. The lowers are what springer dampening and stuff like that. So, I actually have them kind of turned down for the, what is it? Not dampening, extension. I have it turned down so they don't extend as fast. So that might help. That might be something that helps. But I mean, I don't drive it very much on the road, so like, it's not like it's a harsh ride, but it's not. It could be better, I guess, if I were to screw with all that kind of stuff. But with the full hydro and stuff like that, I don't really drive it on the road too much. But so I have a 3-link with the Clayton crossmember. I don't know if you guys went through my pictures. The first crossmember I had, I broke it on a ledge.
Ow.
A Clayton crossmember?
Yeah, so I think it was both my fault and their fault. I don't know. So yeah, so I have I had a Clayton crossmember with their 3-link, and I didn't weld the end caps onto the end of it like an idiot. I don't know why. I just was in a hurry, wanted to get it done, wanted to wheel it or whatever. So I didn't those like the end caps with the hole in them so you can get the bolt into your control arm. So I didn't put those end caps on the end, and they're saying that's why it failed. But if you were to go back to my pictures, the two bolt, that little plate that the two bolts go up into like the unibody on the crossmember,
Yeah.
that you're supposed to weld, which I welded the crossmember to the unibody. It failed where that was welded to the crossmember.
That's wild.
And so,
I mean, I will say, like those end caps, they seem kind of like not that important, but mine's taken a beating there and probably helped keep it from flattening.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it,
I'm
not saying it wasn't. It was their fault or my fault. Like,
no, shit happens.
Yeah, but if you look at the pictures, I mean, I can probably find one and put it in the chat. But like, if you look at that strip, that plate where it was welded to the crossmember, you could see rust inside of it. So I don't think they fully welded that plate into that crossmember. So it was already rusted or not welded fully. It was just spot welded, I think. So, but like I said, I wasn't mad. I sent them the pictures of it, all that kind of stuff. They warrantied it, so I'm not mad at them at all. Like, they didn't have to warranty it. Like, I wasn't gonna be mad if they made me buy a new one.
How
or
long does the
whatever.
warranty last?
They're
I'm
lifetime.
curious.
Well, so this was within a year. Like, this was like right when this was like during a shakedown when I did it. But I sent them pictures like, hey, this would happen. Like, I'm not trying to blame you guys. Like, I just want to let you know. And he's like, okay, well, we'll warranty it this time, but make sure you weld the end caps on, blah blah. I'm like, that's fine, whatever. So they sent me a new one free of charge. Like, I'm not mad. Like, they didn't have to. I'm not saying that they needed to or whatever.
Mhm.
I would have been happy with just buying another one.
Yeah.
But this time there's more pictures on my Instagram too. I had my brother TIG weld all those plates in there because they just spot welded those plates in there. So
Mhm.
everywhere that they didn't weld fully, I had him TIG weld, and he TIG welded the end plates on the end caps on this time too. And we also put triangle gussets from the end caps from the crossmember to the unibody this time too. So I don't know if maybe the 1-ton's a little heavier of an axle than they thought they designed it for. I mean, I don't know. Like, I've never had any problems with it. Like, that was just like one of those. Maybe I would have just been one of those fluke things that just happened.
Yeah. You might have just hit it right or something like that. I've run mine
Yeah.
for a long time, and it's always the one I recommend because
Everyone gets
I've
a mulligan.
Yeah.
beat the crap out of it. Like, it's
Well,
still
and
the only issue is it's bowing in, and it's probably my unibody rails, but like every once in a while when I take the crossmember out, I have to shave down a little bit so I can hammer it all back together and push it all out far enough. But
well, and
yeah,
I have no
that's wild.
complaints from the cross member. I have no complaints from the cross member at all. Like I said, when I emailed them, I didn't expect them to give me a free one, and they just did. So I was like, awesome on them. Like, and I gave them kudos when I posted it or whatever. So I just kind of made it a little bit better, so hopefully it wouldn't happen again, kind of thing. So I'm running Clayton cross member, obviously, with the third link on the passenger side. I kind
They
of
should
raised
just
up.
offer it like that from the fucking factory at this point. Sorry, side
Well,
note.
oh no, you're good. No, because like I didn't want to deal with the freaking drive shaft. I'd much rather deal with an exhaust than a freaking drive shaft at this point.
I'm not sure why they put it on that side, to be honest.
I
Other
don't know.
they tie it in like with their if you go with their factory style stuff with their trusses, I can understand why they put it on that side for like a Dana 30, because what they do is they make you cut the factory mount
The
off
top one
and
off, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
put that thing in there and you weld it, and it's like it's supposed to stick out a tiny bit or at least sit flush. So I mean, it keeps it all centered. I think it's probably it's got to be pretty strong. It's Clayton, but at the same time, it's like, well, you could just put a bracket on the other side and use that side, which is all steel and not, you leave a lot open if. And yes, you're
Yeah.
supposed to be a competent welder, and they should be able to weld to cast, but not everybody's gonna do that. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I agree. Should just be a factory passenger side.
Yeah. So I went passenger side just because I didn't want to deal. I would much rather reroute an exhaust than try to figure out a different, like, put a carrier bearing or whatever for the drive shaft or whatever that some people have got to do or whatever. So like I said, I like my ORIs. They haven't let me down yet. I mean, I have like 5 inches of travel and the rest is 9 inches. That's why I have 14, so I have 9 inches down travel.
Nice. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I
Mine's more
wanted more.
50.
Yeah, I wanted more. I wanted more down travel than up travel, just because I didn't want to cut as much out of the body as I had to.
Yeah.
So I have TNT inner fenders, so that helped me gain some space for the 40s.
Were
So
those
I feel.
cool or easy to install? Because it looks like they kind of make a nice little package.
Oh yeah, no, they're really easy to install. The only for me with the ORIs, I had to cut out, for the ORIs. But other than that, like if you're on stock coils, literally you just draw out the spot welds of the inner fender, and those just fit right up in place, and you just spot weld them back in.
All right, that's kind of sweet.
Yeah. So, and it also it gets rid of that big hump that's in the front that goes down towards like the headlight buckets and stuff like that. It gets rid of that and makes it tucks it up higher, so when you're turning and flexing, you have all that tire room.
So you mean you're not supposed to hit it with a hammer until it starts moving the ECM?
I mean, you can. I mean, but the only downside to the TNTs is you have to relocate your. I guess you don't have to relocate your battery. You just got to figure out a different mount.
Yeah.
But and the ECU, you got to figure out a different mount. But mine's just mounted. My ECU is just mounted on the inside of the fender. than the new inner fender or whatever.
Mhm.
But so I wheeled the Comanche on open for probably about 6 months, 8 months, and then like there's this park in here in Missouri called Vandy's Off Road. They have this obstacle called Mailbox, and I just got denied because the rear is supposed to be limited slip, and as all limited slips, they don't really work when they need to work, or they don't work at all. So I ended up welding that. Actually bought a Spartan locker for the front off of Anthony Carnes.
Funny story about that. I got to hear about this morning for a good 45 minutes.
Yeah. So yeah, because at that time he had the Liberty, was selling it and didn't want to use the locker because he was selling it or something like that. So that's when I bought it off of him, and then I ended up putting it in the front of it of mine. And I've never had lockers before, and lockers are awesome. I will recommend that over anything else.
So, something super cool for the limited slip 10.5 guys out there. Torque has released a drop-in limited slip case locker. So that's fucking awesome.
Oh, have they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was talking to this guy RJ who's in the backyard built club about it, and I was like, yeah, they don't make any lunchbox lockers for the 10.5, so I just Googled it, and I was like, oh, hey, Torque makes one for a limited slip. Did not know that. Don't know when they released it, but fuck yeah.
Yeah, I just welded mine. I was like, I'm not driving on the street that much. I don't care. I mean, it kind of sucks in the trails, but I mean, it is what it is at this point.
Welding is the way to go. It's
Gets the job done.
Yeah. So so I wheeled it. So I guess I'll talk about I got my 40s and my PRPs from a raffle that I won back when they were doing waffles all the time during COVID.
Yeah.
Our club did one, and they had a $2,800 gift certificate to Genrite. Well, I won the $2,800 gift certificate to Genrite. Well, they don't make shit for the Comanche, so I was like, well, what else can I spend this on? And I was like, okay, they have Baja Bosses, so I bought those, and I bought my PRP seats for like $400 out of my pocket.
That's sick. You got tires and seats out of that?
Yeah, for $400 out of my
moly.
pocket, basically. Yeah. So, my tires are the Baja Bosses 40 1350s. They're the DOTs. I mean, I haven't had a problem out of them yet. I've got a slow leak out of them, out of the fronts, just because my cheapy Pro Cotton wheels, I've bent up the beads a little bit on them, so I'm assuming that's where it's burping out just a little bit. If it sits for a little bit, it'll leak down, but I mean, it is what it is. But I've had no complaints out of the DOT Baja Bosses so far. Sidewalls seem to be holding up just fine. I mean, I don't know. I know some people have had problems with them or whatever. My plan. Sorry, go ahead.
I think. I mean, for a DOT mud terrain, they're on par with everything else. I mean, you can slice a sidewall anywhere on anything. So
Yeah. Like my plan is, once these decide to be done, or if I'm tired of them, I'd love to get some 40 stickies. I've heard rumors that they're going to come out with a 44 sticky in the Baja Boss, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I think we were talking about that rumor last time, weren't we?
Oh yeah, last week you guys were talking about that with Melcher. That's right.
yeah,
Mhm.
something that I don't know if it's. It'd be cool if they did. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'd have to make some more clearance though. That's the only thing. But I guess other mods that I've done to it, I got a quote unquote Spectre cold air intake or whatever for it. My battery box is a Coleman cooler from the 70s or 80s in the bed. My brother came up with that. He was like, "You know, it'd be really cool if you did this." I was like, "Yep, that would be really cool." So I did that. So it's in the bed. Got some 1/0 wire running up to the front for all the other electrical stuff. I have a MP205 with a behemoth strung box in front of it.
Nice.
Yep, got the 517 Metalworks shave kit on it.
Hell
So
yeah.
it's basically sitting flat, so I don't have to worry about the cross member hitting the drive shaft or anything like that. Still haven't finished the floor. That's still sticking out through the bottom of the floor. You can still touch it if you want. It's got JB Customs triple stick in it, so those are awesome. Those cable shifters are awesome.
Yep.
I love that thing. I actually love the Behemoth box too. Like that doubler is so awesome. I know you have an Eco box, right?
Yeah, I got the Eco box. How do you do you drive yours on the road at all?
Yes,
no?
I do, and it does pop out of gear.
Okay,
I
so
will-
it's just an issue with those boxes, just the way they're designed.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah, it's like it'll jump into neutral randomly sometimes. And it's like what the hell? Like, and they're like the first time it did it to me, I was like, why am I not going anywhere? I was like, fuck, I blew up the transmission, and like, I looked at the lever, I'm like, wait, that's not supposed to be there. So I kicked it back up and into high. And I was like, oh, that was the problem.
Yeah. Now, can you do it on the fly? Because mine, if it pops out on the highway, I can't put it back in on the highway. I've tried.
No, I got to like roll. I got to roll or put it in
Yep.
like reverse and kind of knock it in or whatever.
Yep.
My biggest issue is my detents on my MP205. I got the adjustable ones from JB's. I need to adjust them because they're a little too tight, I think.
Yeah,
So
I did
they're
mine as
kind
well.
of-
I haven't had any issues with them popping out or being stiff on mine. Yeah, I just got to dial them a little more because it's definitely it's one of those things like if you over tighten them because you're like, I don't want these to come loose and it feels good, and then you're in the middle of something, and I don't know. 205s are just finicky to shift in general with a twin stick. So
yeah, and that was my thing too. Like, so everybody's like, well, why didn't you just go with an Atlas? I go, well, I got the MP205 for $100. Like, all I had to do was clean it up. Bearings and everything were good. Gears were all good in it. So I was like, I got that for $100. And then Behemoth, so when I bought my Behemoth box, they had just like started making boxes again. Like they had just basically just gotten bought out. And I didn't do the like their DIY box, like their Eco box. Just bought a box that was already like built. So I paid a little bit extra money, but it's like I was like at that point I was like I don't want to have to try to find a 231, or 241 or whatever. Might as well just have them send me the box. So I can just install it at that point.
yeah, and honestly, it takes a little bit of the guesswork out, right? I think part of my initial issues with the Eco box is like, well, did I just put a really crappy 241 internals in mine, and is that why it's popping out? Or is it because I'm using 241 planetaries with the Jeep shift collar and like inner gear or something like that? So it's nice to just have that all rolled out and just have it be new for sure.
Yeah.
The cost difference isn't that much, unless you happen to have like a bunch of cases sitting on hand. And again, I wouldn't put a 231 in it. I'd put a 241, so you get the 6-pinion planetary, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just not. If you don't have one of those on hand, it's not worth not just buying the whole thing ready to go. And even then, putting that outer gear is a pain in the ass. You got to have like I think they say you can technically do it with a 20-ton, but they want you to use a bigger press or something like that.
Yeah, and I've known people that like cut it out with an angle grinder and stuff like that too.
But that's what I had to do. It was a mess. And those Chevy cases are magnesium, so you're sitting there and it's like it's sparking, and more than sparking, it's lighting on fire a little bit as you're cutting it with the angle grinder. It was kind of goofy.
Yeah. That's sun gear or whatever. And you can buy new sun gear too, I think, but it's like at that point, you might as well just have them do everything and assemble everything for you at that point.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, I've had no problems with the Behemoth box. I know they were a decent company back in the day, and when they got bought out. So like I said, I haven't had any problems besides it kicking out every once in a while. But other than that, it doesn't kick out on the trail, so I'm okay with that. Not too worried about that.
Yeah,
but
I'm convinced those things overheat like just way too much on the highway. I don't think they're designed for that in their stock setup, and I think it messes with the gears or with the teeth.
I mean, my community Yeah, my commute only gets to the 45 anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. 410 life there.
Makes sense.
538s are coming eventually. I'm probably gonna try to
It's
do those.
life changing. You in auto or manual?
I have an auto, so I have an 804 in it.
Okay, so it masks it a little bit, but it'll be life changing even with an auto.
Yeah, I'm
do it.
sure it will. Yeah. So I have a nifty shifter junior in it too, so I can keep. It's basically I can flip a switch and make it a
Yeah.
manual transfer.
Those are really
transition.
cool. I almost wish I had a Renix system just so I could use one because they're just super cool.
Oh, mine's a 91.
Oh, is that?
With my
Oh, yeah,
Mopar.
that's right. He does it for the OBD ones now too, right?
Uh huh.
I remember watching that Nick and Time do all that stuff like way
Oh, yeah,
back.
on YouTube
when
back in the
Go
day?
stock.
Yeah.
I was like, he's just doing so many cool things. He was
Yeah.
definitely a cool guy to watch do stuff. He's just
Yeah.
the way he went about stuff too was just really fun to watch.
Yeah,
He was a fun guy to watch.
His little shifter works perfectly. I have had no problems out of it whatsoever because I have a winter shifter. So my Comanche was a column shift when I first got it, and I was like, I'm not gonna deal with the fucking column shift on the trail. So that's when I went to the winter shifter. Kind of wish I wish I would have gotten a VX, but I've also heard some things about them too that they're kind of hard to adjust and stuff like that.
They have a column shifter on the Comanches.
Yeah.
It's like
What?
Yeah.
yep,
That's goofy. I guess it makes sense. Yeah, because it's a bench, right?
yep. Mine was a bench.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Not all of them are. There's just certain few of them that are column shifts. But yeah, so I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna deal with that. I'd much rather have something on the floor so I can shift if I need to shift. The only downside to the winter shifter is the gates, because like if I'm on a hill and I want to get to reverse, it's gonna be really hard for me to get to reverse really fast.
You can always cut the gates, or I mean,
Yeah.
it's a lot of
I could,
money.
yeah.
I think that's what
At that point,
Curtis
just get a
did,
cheap.
right?
Yeah, at that point, just get a cheap manual and call it a day.
Yeah. I've wheeled a manual and I didn't like it, but I like the automatic a lot more.
Yeah, the wheeling a manual if it's not geared correctly is the worst thing in the world. It's awful. You'll be like, why the hell would I want to sit here slipping clutch? If you drive a rig with stupid gearing, it's like it's a very different experience.
Yeah.
It's almost like I can't describe it because it's just so different from a normal car or anything with an automatic. Even like a normal like car or truck that you're driving on the road, like on the highway with a manual, it's not even like that. It's just totally different with all the gearing they have. I like it. It's definitely not for everyone. I mean, there's a reason people don't like them for racing stuff, and automatics are very reliable and they do the things that people want. But
Hopefully, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they pop out.
Well, that's what's kind of cool about the AW4. It's kind of a trend. Like you can kill them. I know you can, but like they're pretty stout for what they are too. Especially if you can just keep a 4. Because I mean, I just had the stock 4.0 in it, and like everybody wants me to swap an LS. I'm like, but this 4.0 works just fine. Like it does what I needed to do. There's no reason to put an LS in it right now. Like I said, like
I'm with you there.
4.0s don't break parts usually. I mean, I know they do, but they don't at the same time. Like
Unless it's a Dana 300.
Yeah, right.
I've seen him pop a few of those now.
But so other than that, I mean, I need to put an anti-wrap bar on it. Don't have one of those yet, but I have the overload springs. So I think those are kind of helping keeping the springs kind of intact at this point. I mean, other than that, it's basically Jeep besides the transfer case and the axles. An Adams DIY drive shaft in it that I built, that I had my brother build. No vibrations on the highway. It's not even balanced, so that's kind of cool.
Wow.
I mean, that's kind of a massive W.
Yeah, so like, and then the front shaft's just an extended stock shaft. So, I mean, It's got a 1310, 1350 conversion joint on it. So, and Graham, I did find a 1310 yoke for the MP205.
Oh, I used to have them. No, I still have one. I used to have two. They're a pain. You have to go to what site is it?
Dave's Drive Shafts or whatever, I think is where I got it from.
Did you go to Dave? I think I went through King 4x4 or something.
Or Denny's Drive Shaft. One of those. It started with a D.
They're a pain to find. You can find them.
Yeah.
Clearly, they exist on multiple sites. The one I bought from was sketchy. It was, it got to me, so they're not sketchy. They gave me what I asked for, but it was just
a
a
2004
very early
website.
2000s looking website with like a very MS Paint-esque logo, and I was like, I don't know if this is real. Torque King, that's what it was. Torque King.
Yeah. I was on there a couple. I've gotten directed there a couple times. Like, this does not look good.
I can confirm I bought stuff from them and they delivered it. So I think I've bought multiple things from them for one reason or another because they delivered my thing. So yeah, no, they make them. It's goofy. I had no issues with those yokes. The issue I ended up having with the front, it hasn't happened in the back, so I haven't swapped it yet, but at some point I will, is the fronts would just the U-bolt. It's not a U-bolt.
Would break or whatever.
Bolts for the no, maybe I do have,
wood?
I don't know. It's not the strap style. It's just the bolts that go into the end of the double cardan for a stock XJ shaft.
Yeah.
They would walk loose, and you don't notice it till the thing's basically flopping out. So it would just shear the bolts, and it wouldn't destroy the drive shaft, but you got bolts stuck in there, and you're on the side of the trail or back somewhere, and it was just a pain. So I put it on a flange just because it clearly just needed more clamping force or something. Yeah. And it's been good because I Loctited those things. I did all sorts of stuff, and they just wouldn't stay in there. I don't know if I'm like hyper extending it too much with flex. I thought I had it all dialed, but maybe it's not quite there, and it was rattling them loose or something. But yeah, they worked out. They were solid. I didn't have any issues. And as far as like having something that's compatible, having the 1310s was nice. I never had any issue. I never blew a U-joint on that end. The other ends, I've blown them, but never on the transfer case side.
Yeah, my rear shaft's 1350 all the way around. My front's is 1310 at the transfer case, and then 1310, 1350 conversion at the axle. Mm-hmm. I haven't had any problems out of it. I'm sure eventually I will, and at that point I'll probably just, have Adams or whatever build, or Tom or whatever, build me a 1350 for the front. But until that time happens, I mean, I'm gonna wheel it the way it is. I'm not a beat the shit out of it type of person. Like, I'll try crawling stuff first before I try to give it gas to get over stuff.
I wish that part of my brain would turn back on sometimes.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah.
It turned off.
It's even worse though, because like sometimes I'll be spotting my rig when I let other people drive it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this thing wants it. Yeah, just hit the skinny pedal on the right to the floorboards. It's got 120 horsepower. It'll be fine.
Yeah, the only thing I've broken so far in like the 3 years that I've been, or 2 years that I've been wheeling it, is a axle shaft U-joint, and that was the original axle shaft U-joint out of the junkyard axle. So I didn't even put new U-joints in it whenever I put it underneath there. So, and the funny thing was, it was a bonehead mistake too, because like I was up on a rock, turned full lock basically, and I was like, it'll climb, and I should just backed off and repositioned, and I just tried to climb it, and it went pop. And so, I mean, I just had it bound up is what it was. So like, it was no fault of the U-joint at that point. It was just me being dumb. I broke it. So what I need to do is I need to get some 1550 shafts and then keep my 1480s for spares or whatever. That's what I really need to do.
I've heard you. I know you've heard this from the podcast. If you listen, it sounds like you do. But O'Reilly's, you can't beat the speed of which you can purchase them, and they're
for sure, yeah.
So if it's 05 plus, yeah, it is, because you're talking about 1550s. So of course it is.
Yeah.
And you'll never have an issue with those. I've snapped the 35 spline outer before those U-joints even gave me a funny look.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. And to be honest, like, I haven't had that many issues with my 1480s.
No.
So
even those are fine. I mean, I ran smoked ones in the Dana 50, right? The ones, Luke, that you gave me, those spares, but they were stiff. Like you held the thing and the end, the stub shaft end didn't move. I had to like kind of break the rust free off of them, and even those ones held up. I had one, I think, that started to get a little iffy. It was clicking on me, so I pulled it because I had a spare.
I broke one of them, and the one that I broke was the Web Wheelers Ball 3 when I had Dan with me, and I obliterated the stub shaft and that axle shaft and the inner shaft. So, like, I broke 3 things at once. I can't really go faulting the U-joint when both axle shafts left the chat, too. You know,
Yeah.
like, it feels like that's a little unfair to the poor 1480.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've had no issues besides that one bonehead mistake that I made.
Now, forgive me for asking the stupid question because I had to run there. Is it a auto or a manual?
It's an
It's a
auto. It's an
manual.
AW4.
Okay. So you don't
Um,
even get the warning that you're getting that bound up.
No, I just have to know, I guess is what I should say.
You just gotta feel it in your seat.
Well, I mean, I also have full hydro, so I can't even feel it in my steering wheel. So
Oh no,
Oh my
you should
God.
not have said that, my boy. You have opened yourself up for the conversation I have been waiting for. Fuck yeah.
what's that?
Why
that?
the
Oh.
fuck do you have full hydro and no cage?
Oh yeah, you know. I mean, it shit happens when you party naked. But no. It's the fact that I don't have a bender, and I guess I have access to benders, but I just haven't. And money, I guess. I spent all my money on other shit and didn't spend my money on stuff that probably matters. But I mean, I do shit that I shouldn't do without a cage, and I do shit that has scared me a couple times. But I mean, that's the next big upgrade is a cage. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, I'm not trying to come across as a dick, even though I am a dick. That is like, you know, it's like a hamburger with a lettuce bun, right? You've got the meat, you've got the cheese, you got everything there, but you're missing the bun, which would be the cage to really tie this thing together. So,
I mean, I'm just that good of a driver that I don't need a cage.
That is no. I don't even want to entertain this idea.
No, I'm just kidding. No,
Fucking-
no, I'm just talking out my ass now. No, it's just the fact that I just haven't like I want to do it, and it's just tubing so expensive now, and that should have been like one of the first things I did. I just didn't do it.
Tubing's cheaper than your life.
I know, I understand that. I totally
Yeah.
get that, but I've also haven't done anything that Jeep could do. That you know what I'm saying? Like that Jeep's more capable than the stuff that I've done so far. I guess is what I should say.
that's fair.
I mean, you could flip over on a simple obstacle anyway. Like I get that. Like, I mean, I'm not saying that that's not possible. It's just the fact that like I try not to put myself in those situations where I could roll without a cage. I guess is what I should say.
I will say that the cage is a gateway drug, right? Cody, I think you can back me up on this. Once you're strapped in to a fully
you feel
caged rig,
invincible.
yeah, like I was telling you, you're good to go, and you're putting my Jeep basically on its side multiple times and just like focusing on my spotting.
Dude,
Though,
I hate that video. That video so much, just because like I did not realize how slow the tires were moving.
That's every video when you
Oh
have
my
gear
God,
in.
dude!
Every video you
like,
watch and you're like, oh, I was being a dumbass and didn't have it in the right gear to actually make that or do that right.
Literally, bro. I literally had the thing to the boards in my head. I'm hitting the shit out of this thing, and then it's like I watched the video and I'm like, I look like I wasn't even
Pee-wee's
trying. Like I was
first hill
scared.
climb.
Like, yeah, I was like, what the fuck is this?
I will
Hey.
say that there was at one point we were at this park called Kansas Rocks. It's on like close to Fort Scott, Kansas. And I know you're thinking Kansas doesn't have rocks, so it's flat as hell.
I've heard they've got cool
but-
parks.
Oh yeah, but no, it's a pretty sweet park. So we were out there, and it was like at the beginning of the day. I had just gone to Flat Nasty and climbed their big ledges called the Three Bears or whatever, and so I was pretty confident. So there was this ledge that we got up on, and my driver's side rear fell in a hole, and front tires are trying to climb, rear tires are trying to climb. There's just no way I was going to get out of it. So I backed off of it. I said, hey, let's just go see the rest of the parks because we hadn't seen it. I didn't want to break anything or do anything stupid. So I'm backing off of it. Well, it was kind of slimy, and I slid, and that was probably the most like off camber in that Jeep in the Comanche that I've ever been. But no one got pictures of the outside for me to know how off camber it actually was. Because you know how it is. Like it feels way worse in the cab most of the time than it does outside.
Yeah, my favorite gauge is where my passenger is in position to me. The furthest I've ever gotten the Jeep over, I had Logan with me, who's a buddy of mine. I'm sure you've heard us mention him. Yeah. And I look up, and he's over me, and I mean fully over me, like his waist is above my head. His head is now below me, and I don't know how the Jeep drove out of that.
Yeah, that's how my fiance was.
Yeah, that's not a pleasant feeling.
Yeah, she was like after that she like looked at me when her head because I was on the downslope of it, so she was up high. She goes, I was 2 feet over your head, bracing myself against your seat so I wouldn't slide away. And like after we got off of that, because so basically what happened was the guy who was guiding me was walking back up to his Bronco, and I was backing off because it's simple, back off or whatever, no big deal. And he turns around and goes, oh, and I'm sitting there like this. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? So I just put it in drive, turned passenger, and the ass end just slid, and then we were level again. And she looks at me and goes, our next upgrade's gonna be a cage, right?
Yeah, it should be.
Oh, that's definitely going to be it. Like I said, it's going to be after the wedding. We're getting married in 30 days, so
Congrats, dude.
Thank you, sir. A lot of our extra money is going towards that right now, so it's I can't we wheel, like I said, we wheel, but I try not to put myself in those situations to where a cage would be beneficial. Not that it's never beneficial, but just take it a little easier than most.
And that's perfectly fair. I have to throw shade because one of my big sticks is safety. And
for sure, I get that.
We were talking off the podcast. I've got 12 points of attachment where my cage is tied into the unibody at this point. Pretty soon it's going to be about 16. So, I just got to throw that out there.
Oh no, I get it. No, and like I said, it's not something that's down on my mind. My biggest thing now is what do I want to do? Do I want to do an exo cage? Do I want to do a hybrid, or do I just want to do an interior cage? Problem with Comanche is there's not a lot of room on the interior. And I know.
Richie,
yes.
Sorry, go ahead.
Break out your notepad. Sorry, go ahead.
And I know MJ Crawlin has an interior cage on his with kind of an exo cage too, I think, if I remember right from the pictures. But I think it might just be a full interior cage. I don't know how tall he is. I'm 6'3", 240, so it's there's not a lot of room in there to begin with. So me to put tubing and stuff in there, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to hug it really close, and I'm sure my brother could figure something out, since he built cages for race cars and stuff. And I've always been against exo cages because I feel like they look like jungle gyms. But I guess if you design it correctly, tight to the body, it doesn't look as bad. I'm not trying to say any of your guys' Jeeps look bad, but
talk your shit. Say it.
Yeah, MJ Crawlins, I'm looking at pictures of it now. It's internal, except for it looks like he has at least one B pillar outside. I don't know if there's an interior B as well. But I know for a fact because I've looked in the thing, it's the internal on cage of that thing. He's pulled the dash and all the pieces out. If it's, yeah, I forget exactly what the interior looks like, but he has made more room in there, so the cage is, seems to
work
fit with
better than like
the
a
pieces
stock
that he
with it.
has in there, and the cage
Yeah.
works well together. If you
Yeah.
were to just put a interior cage in a normal interiored XJ, they end up being very cramped.
Yes,
I'm sure the
that's
MJ
for
is the
sure.
same way. So I don't know. I think it's a good. You just got to find a good balance.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
think. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I agree with you that externals look like a jungle gym, but it also depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be able to use your tube as something you can slide off of? Like that's one of my favorite things to do with mine is if I'm leaned up against something, I don't have to worry about it. The tube's just gonna take the tree or the rock and just gonna slide across it, and I'm not really gonna mess up my roof line that much because it's very
Well,
important. I need my roof line
well,
looking spick and span. But
Yeah. That's the thing with my passenger side roof line. We were at Kansas Rocks, that same thing. And my fiance was in the Comanche. She was coming up this like ledge, and she goes, "I'm gonna hit that tree." I go, "Don't worry about that tree," because I wasn't on that side of the Comanche to like see how close she was to the tree. Yeah, she put a decent sized dent in the side of the roof line. But I mean, it is what it is. I beat it out as best I could. I'm not mad. She was more worried about it than I was. I was like, "It's gonna happen." You know, it's like one of those things. Like,
Yeah. So my question is, how tall are you?
I'm 6'3".
Okay, so right there, you've just ruled yourself into the hybrid category because X's
Yep.
are gay, and internals when you are taller than 5'11". No, fuck it.
Honestly, like
Taller
5'6" with
Yeah,
the helmet on, like 5'6" is
Well,
lucky.
Well, yeah, my head's almost at the roof line as it is anyway, without a cage in it. Like I would be bashing my head against a bar if it was wherever, like if it was inside there.
Now, do you have like PRPs or Corbeus in it already?
I have PRPs, and I have harnesses and stuff already. So basically, what I'd like to do would be like kind of like like the weldered cage or like the exofab cage for the XJs. I want to do like a main halo with external A pillars, and
Yep.
then do internal B pillars maybe. If I can't do that, then I'll do. I mean, I don't know. I just have to get in there and just look at it and
So
see
you're
what we
gonna.
can.
I mean, I
Go
don't.
right through the roof for the bees, down through the cab to the rock
Yeah.
slider, basically.
Yeah,
Okay, so like
that's
a hybrid style. I thought you meant like
Yeah.
have the tube run connect at the top of the A, then go. I mean, I was just trying to think of how that would work, and I was running myself rampant thinking about it.
the main.
Yeah.
So like the A pillar with the main halo would go down the windshield line, down through the fender into the rock rail, and then like the B pillars would just go straight down into the cab, and that's where my harness bar would be and stuff. I don't know. Like I said, I had to look at it, get some tube up in there, and just see what we could do.
I saw one that I really liked on a Comanche where they did A pillars were outside, the B pillars were outside, and then for the harness bar, they notched or they hole sawed out the back of the cab, ran the harness bar internally, so the only structure that was actually internal there was the harness bar attachment, and I thought that that was a pretty nifty way to get around the lack of space that exists in the MJ cab.
That was also my idea too, was to do that.
And I'm on a MJ, I think that looks good because you have the area behind the cab to build a full node. So you're
Yeah.
not in the XJ situation where you have long runs of tube where it's not supported.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like I said, I just need to get some tube up there and just get an idea of what we need to do or what I want to do.
Yep.
Like my thing is, if I do an exo, it's going to hug the body. It's not going to be off the body more than 3/4 of an inch. I hope, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what's feasible and what's not feasible at this point.
You can get it pretty close, but expect that after a rollover or hard hits in the rear, it's just going to touch the body either way.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's fine, and I get that, and I understand that. I just rather be more safe than sorry at this point. I'm not too worried about body damage. I mean, I've already dented the driver's side, bedside pretty good, and the passenger side. So like, I'm not. But I know wheeling is body damage is going to happen. It's just one of those things, and like, and I piss people off every time I post pictures. Like, oh my god, you're ruining a clean Comanche. And it's like, it's not that clean, but at the same time, it's like, it's a wheeling rig. That's what I built it for. To go have fun.
Um,
Yeah,
I
shame
don't-
piece
on
of
you.
advice:
I think
when you go to do whatever you're going to do the A pillar and the B pillar out of 188.
That's one thing I was thinking too. Is like do like the main structure out of 188, 175, and then do the rest like the supports and like everything else. 175, 20, 120 wall.
Yeah, I wish that on mine, I had done 188 for the A pillars and the B pillar. I have double A's and double B's, so like at this point, does it really matter that much? No, I'm just yelling at the sun. But if I could do it again, I would still have double A's and double B's. They would just be a 188 pillar in there too.
Yeah, I get that. And like I said, I mean, my brother being chassis builder, he's pretty. I mean, he builds all his stuff out of chromoly, and that's not going to happen on this. But I think he's pretty decent at figuring out what a 200-mile-per-hour car can handle. So I'm assuming we could be fine with me crawling at 5 miles an hour or less.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The only thing that we have to deal with that you're not going to see there, and I'm not saying that it's comparable or uncomparable, is we have a lot more free fall time.
Yeah, I was gonna say
True.
crush factor.
Yeah.
Like landing upside down.
So just keep that in mind. Triangles are your friend, and enjoy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Like I said, that's definitely on the docket here in the very near future.
Another small piece of advice I'll give you is like with mine, I built it stupidly close to the body. My problem that I ran into is I needed to push my front spreader bar another inch off of the body. It would not have hurt anything to have been an inch further off of the body, but I can't get a spreader bar into mine without removing my windshield.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
And the level of closeness at the cowl area means that I won't be able to get a full weld all the way around, which just kind of like, it's a buzzkill factor, you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's my thing too. Is I want everything fully welded. My brother wants to TIG weld everything too, so that's the other thing. So kind of
Now- If you make it where you can pull it off of the body and then drop it back on after fully welding, like I did when I built everything before I started adding to the cage,
yeah.
perfectly, that's the way to do it. You
Yeah.
pull it off, you know.
But yeah, so yeah, Cage, like I said, Cage is definitely in the near future. The funny thing about the full hydro though is the fact that like I was gonna go hydro assist with the ported box and everything. Got to the point where I was trying to figure out the drag link and the tie rod, and I was like, yeah, fuck this. We're gonna just go straight full hydro, and that's what happened.
I could have guessed that's what it was. I had a feeling it was gonna be like fuck this. This is stupid. It just starts
Yeah.
switching everything up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was like I had
Sorry,
because
go
I
ahead.
have you're good. I have Barnes weld-on high steer arms. And like it's just the way everything was lining up, like with the tie rod and everything. I was like, fuck this. Like I can weld on a freaking mount, figure out figure out the RAM, do all that shit and be done with it, and also be able to turn the 40s a lot easier than hydro assist anyway.
I completely understand where you're coming from with that. I ended up going down that path myself, but for entirely different reasons. When I slapped the stickies on, I found my weak link in my front end, and it was my tie rods.
Oh,
The
really?
actual tie rod ends themselves, I mutilated. What are there? There's 4 of them. I mutilated 3 out of the 4 at the Web Wheelers Ball. I swapped out the really bad ones to go to AOP. I made 1 trip at AOP, and they were all mutilated again, and the only thing that had changed in my front end from when they weren't mutilating themselves in one trip and when they were was putting stickies on it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was
like I said, I'd even try going down the whole freaking hydro assist because like I've heard horror stories about it anyway, and I got to the point where I was like, this is a trail rig. This isn't going to be anything that I'm gonna. If I drive on the street, full hydro is not going to be that big of a deal for me to just drive it if I want to. So I went with an RTEC mount, full hydro mount with PSC RAM. I have wide open designs, aluminum links. I think they're Barnheims, and then Beyond Precise orbital, and then a PSC pump.
sweet.
There you go. Sounds like a pretty good recipe.
Yeah,
and
the
then
only thing I'm gonna say is while you're in there, at some point add a little bit of extra 3/8 of plate to that RTEC mount because they seem to like to bend.
I put as many ribs in it as I could that came with it. Pretty sure I used most of them. I probably should add there's a brace that goes from like the pumpkin up to the truss or whatever down to the mount that I probably should add. I haven't had a problem out of it yet, so we'll see what happens. But I also use the PSC steering column adapter to the Cherokee or Comanche steering shaft, and literally put the orbital where the stock steering box was.
That's what I'm doing, so I'm glad to hear that all worked out.
Yep. Just like basically what I did was I just cut a plate out of like 1/4 inch, or I mean, it doesn't have to be 1/4 inch. That's just what I had, or my brother had for his CNC or his plasma, and we just cut it out. Then use those bolt holes from the steering box, mounted up the mount for the orbital, and then the steering column adapter, and right there, it was awesome. And didn't have to shorten or lengthen the steering shaft at all from the stock column.
I bought one of the DBM mounts, and it just showed up today, so I'm super stoked because I can actually go bolt all that stuff in tomorrow. So if the weather and the tides are on my side, I should have a steering rig tomorrow.
Nice. Yeah, my other thing too was I wanted a detachable steering wheel because getting in and out of that thing with the stock steering wheel wasn't fun. So I just have a Speedway splined steering, disconnect or whatever on it too. Just welded it straight to the steering column.
Yeah,
So-
makes sense. It's a way to do it.
So with that Speedway Motors one, did you have to weld that in, or did it just
So
like,
it
bolt
slipped
up?
over. It slips over like the stock like shaft that comes through the column. You just gotta weld it to the column to that little shaft.
Okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't that big of a deal. So it wasn't that bad. Other than that, I mean, like I said, it works. I love the rig. I mean, there's some little things that I need to finish on it. Like the floorboard was rusted out, so I put a new floorboard in it, and I have some holes that I just need to fill up that I haven't filled up yet. But other than that, I mean, the rig works. I have no complaints about it whatsoever.
The further down the trail rig path you go, the more holes are going to develop in the rig. I'm just warning you now.
Oh, I know. My passenger's floorboard's already getting holes in it anyway. But nope. Like I said, I kind of built this rig too, so I could put my fiance in it and not and like here, go wheel. And she's done that since I've owned it. So I can throw her in it. It's gotten to the point now where she takes the keys from me to wheel it. So that's kind of cool.
That's a massive win, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I'm still working on deprogramming Graham's traumatization out.
It's terrible.
We made some massive advancements. She actually wants to go to like Windrock with me now. But
nice.
I'm not sure if she's just saying that because she wants attention or if she's saying that because she actually wants to go. She has not been happy
We'll
with
give her
me
the benefit of the doubt.
She wants
Yeah.
to go.
She's not happy with the amount of time that I've spent working on the rig recently.
Yeah. Well, that was the funny thing. So like, I've been with my fiance for 8 years now. I guess I started building Comanche 2 years into our relationship, and like I always told her, I go, I'll propose once I get done with Comanche, and that was a 2 year process, or 2 or 3 year process, and like I proposed to her before I ended up finishing it, and so like it's always just been a joke that the Comanche is my actual wife, and she just the side piece or whatever at this point.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Hey,
But yeah, no,
Em-
she's told me that if we ever split up, she's taking the Comanche. I go, no, you're not. She goes, yeah, I am. Just so you know. I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens when the time comes.
Well,
Jeez.
I'm hoping that never happens for your
As you say,
sake.
preparing the downfall already. That's
I know,
never
right? Yeah.
good.
Well, so it's funny. So I've put her in the Comanche probably 6-7 times now, and like all these people like it's really funny when we're driving through the off-road park or whatever, and all these guys are like looking at her like, what the hell? And I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I'm like, yeah, I'm the passenger princess right now. But every time she gets done driving, she's like, okay, I'm ready to build the LJ, because she has an LJ. She's like, I'm ready to build the LJ now. And I was like, well, we got to get you a daily driver before we start building the LJ. So,
Yeah,
that's
the old 460 might not like that either.
oh no, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, my tow rig doesn't really like the Comanche, the big berth of the Comanche on the back of it. I couldn't imagine hauling 2 rigs with it.
Nah, it'll be fine. Come on. It'll
What's
be
4
fine.
miles to the gallon?
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
all
I get
about the smiles.
yeah, I get 7 right now with hauling Comanche. I couldn't
Oh,
imagine
so
what I get.
you feel my pain. I'm in the similar boat, man. I
Yeah, I mean,
get
I
somewhere
love
around
that.
that.
Yeah, I love that 460. It was my grandpa's old truck. Like, I love that thing. What I really want to do is fix up the body because it's got some rust, like all of them do. I want to slap a 12 valve in it.
I was anti-diesel for a very long time, and I'm starting to see the error of my ways.
Yeah, I'm old, and I've been towing with this thing probably for the last like 6 months, and I was the same way. I was like, I mean, maintenance costs doesn't equate to like the gas mileage or whatever. And now I'm just like that extra like torque and like power of the diesel. I can see why people have diesels towing what they do.
So I have a bone stock 24 valve now. Like, it doesn't even have a boost fooler level of bone stock. The only thing done to it is that it's got a Vlair dual disc with the 6-speed. It's
Yeah.
quicker with 6K, i.e. the Comanche that's going to Richie, on the trailer behind it than it is driving around town because it actually builds boost. Like, I was comfortably
Oh
able
yeah,
to
no, the second gen stuff, if they don't have a trailer behind them, they're awful. It's like the stupidest driver ever. But you put a trailer behind it, and it's actually comfortable.
Yeah, like, oh, cool. We're in 6th gear doing 65 miles an hour, accelerating up this hill, passing people with the trailer behind me, where the Ford would be doing probably about the same thing, but it would be tacked out to 5 grand or 4,500 RPMs. This Cummins is sitting at 1,800 RPMs, like we're not doing anything.
Yeah, just set it along.
Yeah, and I get it now. I'm getting 23.5 miles to the gallon around town. Like, I went from 12 around town to 23. It's stupid.
I get 9 to 10 around town empty with the 460 if I'm driving it. But I mean, the 460 will tow a house down. I mean, it's got the torque. It's just slow torque at that point. Because I mean, grades here, like Missouri is hilly in some spots.
And they're long.
Oh yeah, pulling up grades like. So I went to Moonlight, which is about a park an hour from me. I was actually Austin Sterling. His parents own it. I'm not going to go into that because I don't know the whole details of that. But
We have a whole podcast on that. If you
I
want the
understand. So,
details.
but I just dropped that name because that's kind of connects it. Whatever. Anyway, they have a park where they live on or whatever. It's like 585 acres, and there's some hills going towards that. And like I was going 30 miles an hour up one of them at like $3,000, towing the Comanche on. And the trailer, the Comanche is like 4620. The trailer that I have is I'm assuming it's a 14,000 because it's an dual 8 lug axle trailer. It's like a 16.2, I want to say. So I mean maybe 4,000 pounds, maybe not even that much. So it's we'll say roughly 9,000 pounds, and I would assume that 460 could haul that a lot easier than what it is. But I mean, it's also got 260,000 miles on it at this point.
And they weren't known for being speed demons either.
No.
Oh no, not at all. No.
So you're name dropping a bunch of parks out there. When are we going and being hooligans at S'more?
I mean, it's only 3 hours from me. You guys got the longer drive than I do.
I mean, it would probably be just me showing up, but I wouldn't mind making a trip back to S'more this year.
Oh, I love s'more. The problem is, so the fun thing about s'more is, I've had the Comanche out there once, and that was one of the shakedown runs, and I was having transmission issues and shit like that, so I didn't even get to run half the shit I wanted to run. So I'm itching to get back out there with that. But there's also a lot of cooler parks. There's some cool parks too closer to me, that wouldn't be as far as s'more either. They're a little smaller, but there's some fun trails. They have a couple fun trails that we could run, a couple times in a day, but it'd be a different adventure every time.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I want puppy liquor revenge.
Oh, I see. I've never been down puppy liquor, but I've heard about it.
So, fucking Grambino here goes up, or how do I want to tell this? All right, so I'm in front of Graham and I'm hitting this thing like wide open, second gear, banging limiter. Like there's a picture of one of my headlights, the driver's headlights on top of the passenger headlight. And I don't mean that it's like, above it. I mean like it was inline vertical.
Yeah.
And I got denied, and it was so bad that Luke Kennedy, one of the party boys from the Waltz, goes,
Oh yeah, I know Luke Kennedy. Yeah.
You know it's bad when Luke Kennedy goes, you should probably pull cable.
Yeah.
And then Graham comes up behind me, hops onto the same exact ledge, and because he has leaf springs...
Luke Kennedy in my passenger seat egging me on.
Yes.
But we'd watch like 3 or 4 people do this thing, and I was like, they give up on that left line way too soon.
I was not giving up way too soon. I had to get flagged off. I was on like attempt 4.
Once the spotters realize you're a danger to yourself, you have to stop. So,
listen, third gear was looking mighty appetizing.
I think that's what I had to hit it in.
Yeah, well, you have a little bit more gearing than I do, I believe. 5.4, 3 to 1 versus 4 to 1.
I can roll in on third. I can't start from stop on third, especially not a steep hill. Not that was that steep. It was just a bump.
It was a fucked up bowl.
Mm-hmm. You basically had to like toilet ring around the left side of this ledge, and then pray that your tire got up, and then it bumped the rest of the rig up. Otherwise, it was so wet and sloppy that it would just pull you right back down.
Oof.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so with his leaf springs, he hops the ass end clean up in the air, and it doesn't have enough time to droop out. Because I had been in the same spot, and my rear axle just fell out from under me.
Your suspension works too good.
And so he goes rocketing up it, and now I just want revenge for that. I can't let that one slide.
Yeah, my big goals were like Copperhead, like that big ledge on Copperhead.
Copperhead's nasty.
And then Double Ramy would be fun to kind of get up to.
Copperhead, I want to hit it again, but Graham's gonna hate me for saying this. I want to actually have a functional suck down winch for that,
You know,
and I want to try it on the stickies.
Yeah.
Cause
Well, I've heard Copperhead, that first ledge isn't bad. It's once you get past that is where it's bad.
yeah, that's what
Like,
they
That
were
second
saying.
ledge. Yeah, that second ledge is terrible.
As bad or worse, from what I understand.
Yeah.
You can't even see it from the bottom.
Yeah.
At least I don't think you can.
No, you can't. You have to go back up in the woods.
And there's no way out of it except for doing those, right? You can't.
Well, you can turn around and go back down Copperhead.
Yeah,
That's
fuck
what
that.
that's what a lot of people do. They're
Oh,
like,
really?
they're like, fuck that second ledge. I'd rather go down Copperhead back again.
That
way I
means it's
came.
bad because that doesn't look like a fun one to go down either.
Yeah. So TJ, my buddy TJ, the guy named over Luke at the Badlands for Winterfest, and that Rockwell YJ.
Mhm.
That's what he says. He says F that second ledge. He'll just drive it down. He'll drive down that first ledge all day.
Damn. That's
so
fucked.
yeah, so if you can imagine what you mean, I'm sure you guys have seen his rig or seen the pictures of his rig. Yeah, if he's not willing to do that second ledge, I could imagine what it's like. I've never been up Copperhead, the first ledge at all, so I couldn't tell you. This is honestly, the Comanche is my first like extreme off-road rig that I've had. I mean, I've been wheeling, but I've always done the mild and stuff like that. I've never done anything more extreme than that.
Get a cage on that thing, then you can go do
Oh, I
whatever
know.
you want.
I know.
That's
That's
a 538. That'll help you.
Yeah, I mean the double low helps though too. I mean, there's half the time that I'm not here in Missouri. I mean, most of it's just bumping it, so you don't want the double low at that point.
AW4 problems.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not unhappy with anything that I have right now. Like I'm actually really happy with the way it works. I mean, if you guys like Papa Bear, like so those three ledges. I mean, I have some videos of me going to three ledges. I feel that nasty. Papa Bear is probably a good 6.5 foot ledge that the Comanche just walk up as long as you got the right line. But that's a fun park too. We have some fun parks out here in Missouri. You guys need to come out here. I mean, my plan is to get out towards you guys too. Hopefully after this wedding, and we can get some built up so we can take some longer trips. Maybe get a different
Yeah.
truck.
If you end up coming out to AOP or Windrock, definitely let me know because they're about an hour and 15 to an hour and 40, depending on which park we're talking about. So
Gotcha. Yeah, I got a buddy. He's doing. Have you heard of the Big Rig Rodeo?
Yep.
No, I've never heard of it. No.
Nope.
Yeah, it's out of Harlan this year. Out of Black Mountain. Basically, what it is, it's like a competition kind of thing. Like the trails you run, so you get so many points for every trail you run or whatever. Whoever has the most points at the end of the rodeo wins something. I don't know exactly what it is or anything like that. He had it at AOP last year, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it was wild at AOP. I'm upset I didn't get to go, but
Yeah, I heard it was fucking insane.
it's a cool way of running a ranked trail system, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys have talked to Jason Groos too. He's in my Jeep club, or
Mhm.
I guess quasi in our Jeep club. I mean, he runs with other guys besides our Jeep club, so he's a cool cat. But yep. So Richie, since you've been
Yes.
so quiet lately, what are your plans for this Comanche, and what can I steer you towards? I guess is my question.
So I've been waiting for an opportunity to ask you, how do you like the dirt bound rock sliders? They from the pictures on their website, it doesn't look like they have a lot of meat to them.
No. So here's the thing: is one, their directions suck. Their customer service sucks. It took me 6 months to get them. I bent the passenger side up pretty good after 3 good hits. If I were to do it again, I would probably cut the rockers out and just shore them up like Aaron did on his.
Okay.
Classic 2x6 or 8.
Yep, that's what I would
what
do.
I was looking at.
Basically, kind of like mini boat sided, kind of sort of. I guess is what I want to do. Because like I'm not saying the rock sliders were Like they protected my rocker, but they also bent my rocker up.
Mm.
And so if I were to do it again, I'd just cut them out and put 2x6 in, shore them up like Aaron did, and be done with it at that point.
Yeah, so I've been looking online, and there's not like a large market for like the MJ specific stuff, and just the rock sliders is one of the biggest things because with my Cherokee, that was like one of the things I used the most on the Jeep was the fucking rock sliders. I pivoted the fuck off of everything on those.
Yeah, mine only bent because I hit them pretty damn good. I mean, I'm not saying, but they're only like 188 wall or something. If I do rockers on mine, as much as I hit mine, just because of just how long the Comanche is, I'm gonna go probably 1/4 inch on my 2x6s, and then just brace them up as much as I can.
That's exactly what I was thinking because I have a steel yard in town here. So I can literally just swing by on my way home from work or whatever. But I was looking at getting 1/4 inch wall, either 2x6 or 2x8.
You'll be fine with 3/16. Save some weight.
Yeah, I mean, you could do that too. I mean, anything's gonna bend if you hit it hard enough too. Like
And
it's just one of
confirm.
those things.
Yeah.
Like
My sliders are starting to bend, but like I kind of just don't care at this point because they're about as attached as they're going to get, and well, if they remove themselves from the vehicle, I have other things to be concerned with.
yeah.
Mine have cosmetic. It's just like a little couple sort of spots where they're pushed, but that's after however many years they've been on there, which at least
no.
6.
Sorry, go ahead. But like with stiffeners and stuff like that, Richie, I only have front stiffeners right now, and any XJ stiffener will work. I've heard from people that the MJ unibody is thicker than the XJs. If that's true, I couldn't tell you, but I only have front stiffeners right now, and I haven't had a problem in the 2 years that I wheeled it. So, I mean, you can get.
So I'm the Comanche's gonna come up home with me with a full set of MJ stiffeners in the bed.
Okay, nice.
There you go.
Yeah, I have to go and pick them up.
What was that?
I have to go pick those up, by the way.
Who makes MJ stiffeners though?
There's a company.
Sorry, go ahead.
Richie.
Oh, sorry.
My bad.
There's a few companies that do. I've only found like 3 online that do, and I can't think of the name of the companies off the top of my head, but they're all like in the $600-$700 range for the full set.
That ain't bad.
No, that's not awful, all things considered.
Justin, one of the Trail Trash tag-alongs, if you will, who lives down the road from me, had a set that I've got to go and pick up because Richie ended up buying them.
Yeah, and that's how I found out fucking PayPal does a surcharge or whatever you want to fucking call it, even if you send friends and family, which is stupid.
Hmm? That's weird. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever used that before.
They tack on a small percentage as a fee now.
That's annoying.
Yeah, that's weird. Oh well.
But so stiffeners, sliders.
I'll be getting the Clayton cross member and I'll be doing long arms right off the gate.
There you go. Attaboy.
I gotta figure out if I'm going to throw a slip yoke on right away or if I'll wait a little while to throw the slip yoke on, just because with work and everything, I'm concerned about having the time to do everything in the time frame I want to do. I got to buy the transmission off Graham, which he hasn't told me that he'll sell to me yet, but I'm telling him now.
Which one were you buying from me?
The AX15.
All right, well, you got to buy it off Sean, and it needs a rebuild. I can do both those things.
Oh, what?
Not buy it off Sean for you, I guess. I can do the one thing. I can do the
Okay,
rebuild thing.
perfect.
Except for buy it all for you. Sounds pretty fucking reasonable to me, I guess.
It needs some new parts. It's as it currently sits, it's not worth anything because it doesn't spin. But
Okay,
it could spin
perfect. So I'll tell
very
Sean
quickly.
to give me the transmission.
Yes. And that is internal slave. It probably worked pretty well, which isn't ideal. I mean,
thought it
ideally
was
you find an
external.
no. So what happened was the transmission that Sean got was an internal slave, so I had to take the parts off that other AX-15 and put it on that one because he was all set up for external slave with that transmission that I had sitting around. So there's a little more work involved, but not that much. I mean, if you find a bell housing, it'd all work as it was. So.
Hey Richie, once you get that cross member, I have my old 3-link bars that I can send you. No joints, but basically what it is was like I pushed my axle out farther than I wanted to originally, so I just went with aluminum links. So I have my old steel links with the welded bungs already done that I can just send you. Just let me know measurements and I can measure mine and let you know.
Okay. Yeah, I will, because I have no clue about any of these measurements right now.
That's fine. Yeah, just measure where you what kind of links you need, because I'm pretty sure when I first welded those, when I had those first welded up, they were to the Clayton specifications for like a 6-inch lift. So just let me know and I can send them to you for free. I'll be shipping and everything. I'll just send them to you.
Awesome.
Oh yeah,
But,
that's a nice. That's nice.
That, and I got to fix the trans tunnel. That's from pictures and shit. That's the only rust that's really on the Jeep. So
You cut
Nice.
those out anyways.
well,
Yeah, I'm gonna cut the shit right now anyway. I did the old David Freiberger motto: don't get it good, get it running.
Yep, just the bare minimum.
Yep.
Love that
So
statement.
what size
What was
tire
that?
are you planning on? What size tire you planning on running, Richie?
I'm just gonna be slapping 35s on it.
Okay.
It's pretty much just going to be direct replacement for my Cherokee, just with long arms, until
Nice.
I'm able to get everything together to do wontons and cage and all of that goodness.
SOA in the rear, or just keep it unspring under right now?
Probably spring over. It'd be easier. I mean,
I believe it's spring over right now, isn't it, Luke?
It's spring over in the rear right now, but it needs the
To have the-
perches moved in because they swapped in a Cherokee axle, and when they swapped in they never moved them in.
mm,
Goddamn idiots. Hate those
it's
people.
I have the technology. I can glue metal together myself.
There you go. That works. Yeah, I hate when people like that's such a common freaking question on the All Things Comanche page. Will a Cherokee axle bolt up? It's like, use a damn search bar, people. Not that
oh
hard.
my gosh, I love that. And it's like, is my name Google? No. It's like,
Well, I mean, we created this as going back to the Pirate 4x4 situation. We created this monster because
For sure. Yeah.
forums are awful to navigate nowadays, so you can't always just search what you want. Something very
True.
simple that may exist. It'll be some post from 2007, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is the measurement for this, and this is the measurement for this," but it's pictures, and they're photo bucket, and they're gone.
Oh, yeah.
So you're sitting there looking at nothing.
no.
So, I mean, yeah, I mean, we can bitch about people asking questions, but
Yeah, for sure.
there's a lot of factors to that too. Sometimes you search
yeah.
for shit and you can't find it because you're not using the forum search bar, or you don't have access to the forum search bar, or you can find it but there's no picture, so it doesn't help you. 'Cause-
Or Graham, or you're like me and you're not looking for the exact wording that has already been asked.
oh yeah, Well, that's a whole big thing with indexers. Search indexers are fucked sometimes, unless they're like everybody's used to the really good ones, but there's some shitty ones too, where if you don't get it exactly right, it won't find it.
Can I go on a
use
little-
the search function in the Facebook groups all the time for like questions that I have, and I can never fucking find the answer I'm looking for because the way the question comes out in my mind is completely different than what everyone else fucking says.
Yep.
So are
You're
you
just-
saying you're the problem?
I'm
He's
saying
just special.
the internet is the problem.
I'm just different. I'm quirky.
I'm not like other girls.
I'm kind of lucky.
I don't know how to use the search bar.
I'm lucky, but I never like I'm also not lucky because I never got into any form of rigs when the forums were a thing. So like I kind of missed out on an era, but I also missed out on like the nuances of that. So I kind of got like, lucky with how Facebook handles their shit.
And it's
Poorly. Nothing
It's-
lucky about that.
it's weird to me because like there is so much loose information that I learned on the forums rattling around in my head, but to go and find it to reconfirm it is just obnoxious at this point. And not to go on too far of a tangent, but I feel like as the world of advertisement and technology has expanded, the search engines have gotten stupider, i.e. the Industrial Revolution and its consequences.
David 316.
Search engines have gotten stupider, is what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that because they are trying to serve they're trying to serve contents in a manner that they can advertise to you. It's harder to find direct information than it used to be. In
We should
at least in
legalize
my
titties on
experience.
advertisements. I think I'd like the advertisements more. Just saying.
Cody will look at your advertisements if it has titties. No, I don't know. I mean, it's maybe Luke, but I think more of it is just everybody's doing their own search thing, and it's not like Richie said. Sometimes you have to be very specific for stuff to work. It doesn't always work. I mean, the other thing is with all the Facebook groups, you have to be a part of a group. Usually, there's filters because there's so many bots on Facebook.
Oh, for sure,
right?
yeah.
There's a bunch of articles I was reading like just the past 2 weeks about like how the internet is like compared to the amount of bots on it. It's
The
human-
dead internet
humans still-
theory.
Yeah, the dead internet theory. That's what it is. There's more bots on the internet than actual people. So it's just a bunch of junk. So you have to filter through that. So all the groups are private. So if you actually want the good information on anything, you have to be a part of the good groups. But how do you even know about those good groups unless
Gotta know
you already know
somebody.
somebody who's in the group,
And
right?
you could just ask them the question that you probably had.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
they invite you, and then it's there's these filters you have to get through to actually get to the good information these days. You can't just search it, so it just makes it difficult.
It's fucking
It's fucking who?
ridiculous.
Yes.
Sorry.
So, Cody, how is your 1-ton swap going?
Well, ever since the injury, it's been just nothing. I haven't been able to do anything. So
You pay me $500, I'll finish it off.
yeah, I'd have to get paid by Workman's Comp to be able to do that.
Yeah, that was the shittiest part of the 05 Plus swap, was
suck.
cutting all that shit off. Cutting all that
I
shit
will-
off is terrible.
I hadn't done one until recently. When I did mine, I didn't actually have to do it because I bought it with the truss on it. It was like an empty housing that the guy had parted the Jeep out. I had just blown up the 50, and Mike Pambianco, a guy we've had on the podcast from Long Island, was like, "Oh, I've got one with a truss and a 14 bolt sitting at my house in my yard if you want it." So once I was in a position to rip all my shit apart, I went down and grabbed it, and it was. I didn't know it at the time, but that was probably the best move I could have made. $750 for a fully trussed axle that just needed gears and some of the peripherals was not a bad deal considering how much time I had to spend cutting and grinding the one I just did on this green Jeep I'm working on.
Yeah, I mean,
Insane.
I paid $900 for mine, both of mine, and I still had to cut everything off and do everything.
Yeah.
Damn. You paid $900.
He doesn't live in the Rust Belt.
paid
Damn.
I paid $900, but they pulled them for me at the junkyard, and I got to pick my gear ratio.
Yeah, to be honest with you, Cody, that's like not an unreasonable price even around here.
So why does Graham keep saying that I like? Oh, my price that I got
Because
wasn't
you
even
live
that
in New
good.
England. Do you know
Yeah,
how many
it's different.
shitbox Ford
That's
F-250 pluses
a
are
good
sitting in
point.
junkyards, my
That's
boy?
My boob.
My boob.
My boob.
So like you can go
That's
to
a good
Chuck
point.
and Eddie's and
That's a
get
good
a
point.
set of 05 pluses for
They're a
sub
dime a dozen.
$500.
There's so
at-
many junkyards with just miles of F-250s.
Oh
It's
yeah,
the
but
most
yeah.
popular truck, other maybe F-150, but same difference. They're the most popular 1-ton trucks, 3/4 ton
Yeah.
trucks, whatever you call them when they're actually a truck.
Yep.
On the market, there's tons and millions of those axles, literally millions. You can buy them. Who is it? Why can't I think of
Busted
the name?
Knuckle.
Busted Knuckle. They get like tractor trailers full of them.
yeah.
They'll buy like hundreds of them. It's not a rare axle. It is unwieldy to cut out of a rig or out of a truck and put in. So, I mean, you could probably charge a little bit more for that, but anybody around in New England who's going to buy an 05 plus isn't going to pay more than
Buco bucks unless it's cut up.
$500 unless it's cut.
You
Well,
know,
nice
If you
and
cleaned it, if it was a clean 05 plus, $750 all day. All day.
Well,
Oh
that's the
yeah.
thing.
Oh, that's worth too. That's well worth it for all the effort.
No,
Yep.
it's not.
Well, here,
At that
well,
point,
what
use
is-
it.
sorry, we're talking over each other. My bad.
That's okay. Dude, that's so common.
Not worth
It's
you
like-
selling it. Worth you buying it. Yes.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I'm.
I had
that's
that
what I'm
flipped.
saying.
I was like, if I did
My
that
bad.
much work to that thing, I wouldn't sell it unless like I chopped my leg off or something and I couldn't wheel anymore. I don't like.
You can just figure it out, like hand controls. You just have to ask RJ to borrow.
No, I don't
the
like those. I've driven that
setup.
WJ. I don't like them.
Have you
I had
tried
to
it? I
stop.
haven't got.
I have
haven't
tried it. It's weird.
I haven't tried it yet. I
We were
want to
coming down the
so
hill
bad.
to turn left into the shop, and I was like, "Oh God, which one's dry? Which one's brake?" Because I was like, I had my feet off the pedals, like a dumbass.
so that though, Cody, is why like for me the 9s are starting to look more appealing.
No, you'll blow
Yes.
opinions the way you drive.
No, nines are
Okay.
that's cool. I like nines.
Cool doesn't mean functional.
Ultra
But
four.
like I on the opposite side,
Completely
I keep the
different
1310
style
drive
of
shaft alive.
off-roading.
Um
And they've
anyways,
got like big boy money parts. Those things are all probably cryoed to shit. Come on.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
We poor.
Go ahead, Luke. Luke, go ahead and say your piece.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Nah, fuck you, Luke.
the only thing I'm gonna say is I keep a 1310 drive shaft alive. And that's about it. My 60 is perfectly fine as it is. I don't actually need to replace
It's the
it.
rear you got to worry about.
At this point, yeah.
There's no difference between a 9-inch and a Dana 60. Unless you
Uh,
put fancy shafts in it. But even then, your weak point is going to be probably the pinion in the 9-inch.
I mean, it is.
We just saw
supported,
Squirrel XJ just blew the pinion in his up.
This is true. But I have a 10.5 under my rig that's working, and every time I start daydreaming about putting 9s under it, I have to remind myself that the whole rig works. And they
It's not worth
fixed
it. If you were starting from scratch, maybe. But
Yeah, that's.
that's
I was just about to say. I agree to that. Or if you
The
started
fix-
having major issues.
as soon as it blew up, it'd
Yeah.
be coming out. I wouldn't even bother.
the fix to my problems is super joints and chromos. Unfortunately, and
Mhm.
unless I were to have a 9 belt where it could take the 1550s, I'm not getting around that problem. So for the amount of money that would be getting spent, unfortunately, I have resigned myself to adulthood and realized that RCVs or super joints and chromos is just where it's at for me. Thank you,
That just sounds so terrible.
thank you, Caleb Spillane, for beating some sense into me.
Thank God.
W,
Someone has to
Caleb.
do it.
Yeah, axles are cheaper around here if you go to the pick and pulls, but there's guys that camp out at the pick and pulls once they get their shipment in. So their Super Duty axles are picked off, within that
Jeez.
day.
Yeah, anybody who knows the market behind them just goes for them.
Yep. They
Yeah.
get them for $100, $150 and, sell them for $400, $500, whatever.
Well, that's the other thing is like people in New England. Yeah, there's people who go off roading and do car things and would do a Super Duty swap, but the amount of people is so much less than
Yeah.
like anywhere where off roading is just more publicly available, I guess.
Yeah, because you guys, you said, like you guys said, you guys have to be part of the NES, right? Or NES, is that what it is? Or NEC?
NEA.
NEA.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
you guys-
there are places you can go, like private, publicly open places you can go, and some public property, very little public property, but there is some. You can do it. You could build a rig and just go wheeling on the public places if you wanted to. The public legal places, I'm sure there's still places that you can go where it's a gray area. But like if you actually want to do any like good off-roading, you either have to travel or you've got to be part of the NEA
Yeah.
or a club.
And that's what I feel like that's what we're kind of cool here in St. Louis. I mean, not St. Louis, but like Missouri itself is the fact that like there's so many private parks that you can go and just go. Like we don't have much public land, but we have a lot of private parks with cool places to go. So like, and I mean, like I said, like Hot Springs isn't that far. That's like a 5-hour drive for me. We're actually going down there in May. But other than that, I mean, like we don't have public land like out in like Utah or California or whatever. But private parks around here, that's what keeps us wheeling around here.
Yeah, it's like a private public though, right? Because anybody can just go and pay, and it's like a amusement park essentially, right?
Yeah,
You go into the gate, you pay, you
yeah.
get your wristband or whatever they do, and then you're in.
The state has nothing to do with anything. Basically, they pay their taxes. They can do whatever the fuck they want with their land. Basically, what it is.
Yep. We've got a couple spots.
Eesh, we're running
in
slim
New
on them
England.
though.
Yeah, the only one that I've been to is Rocky Mountain, which is a haul for where we are in.
I mean,
Mass.
yes and no though. Like,
So what is Roush?
Compared.
So what is Roush then? Is Roush not a private park that anybody can go to?
Yeah, it's a private park. That's just. It's probably closer to where. I don't know. How far is that from us, Cody?
6 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh,
It's probably about.
okay.
So nothing like that is immediately available. It's not like, I mean, you could do 4 to 6 hours in a weekend, no problem. But right, it's not something you can be like, oh, I'm gonna drive an hour here. But with some of the NEA stuff, that is an option. An hour, 2 hours, you can be at a property, and it's not like there's not massive properties, but they have a lot of fun stuff going on, so it's worth it.
So the NEA stuff's like private. Like if you're not part of
Private. Yep. You don't even know about it if you're not a part of the NEA.
Yeah. So the NEA is kind of like motorcycle clubs, like with like.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you're not part of this club, part of this association, you can't come here, kind of thing.
Yep.
Gotcha.
They do some open runs, so there are open days where they're open to the public, and they'll post on. I don't know exactly where they post to get people, but where anybody, you don't have to be affiliated with a club. You can just come to one of these days. You sign up, and you can come out to. There's some events that happen on some of the private parks that you can basically sign up and say, I'm going to go here, and you don't have to be an NEA member. You can just be Joe Schmo with a 1-ton rock crawler, know nothing about NEA, and go to these places. Usually that motivates people to, or I would hope that motivates people to be like, oh, this is cool, and they're doing a good thing, and sort of advocating for wheeling in New England. And
I think especially with the fact of like people who just don't know, like me, like when I first got into it, like I had no fucking idea. I was going to these rinky-dink trails that I'm like, oh, these are fucking sick. And then it's like, okay, but then you go to a property that was purposefully cut for rock crawling, and then you're like, oh, I didn't know what the fuck. Like I wasn't even wheeling then. Yeah. And it's kind of like a really unique experience, especially being on the other side of it now, where I've gotten to show people what like real wheeling properties are. And it's just really... Oh god.
Sorry. You guys have like.
What'd you say? You turned into a robot there.
Still a robot.
We got robotitis in here.
Oh, are we good
you're
now?
back. I
Yes,
think
now you
you're
are.
back, yeah.
Okay, sorry. So can anybody start a club then, kind of thing? Like, or do you have to have like so many members and like have prospects, stuff like that, kind of like a motorcycle club or whatever?
Kind of like there has to be people that know of other people to get into the NEA essentially. Like there's a process to it, but you also have to like know certain people.
You can start a club. That's not a problem. I mean, like, Backyard Built wasn't a club, and they were all. A couple of them were part of different clubs. They weren't really happy with the amount of time that they were wheeling, so they, Backyard Built was started, and I mean, I think from our perspective, it worked out because we had people who had been a part of the actual NEA management in some aspect who were sort of helping out with the beginning of the club. But I think anybody can. I don't think it's you just have to probably talk with the president and of
Gotcha.
the NEA and sort of just figure out what the details are. I'm sure anybody could just get the paperwork to start one, and with enough people and the right boxes checked, you can get in with a
Gotcha.
brand new club.
It's just kind of it's interesting how like different like regions do things like with that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
they try to keep it pretty well organized, all things considered, for the NEA.
Well, I would assume you
Pretty
guys'
formal.
government. I'm assuming you guys' government's more stringent up that way than us with like land and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, it's pretty. Probably compared to less dense areas, I'm sure it would be a shock to somebody in Tennessee or Missouri or wherever. There's
Yeah.
a lot less land just getting tossed around. That's for sure.
Gotcha. So Luke, so your full hydro build.
Yes, sir.
What have you done with that?
Okay, so we are at the point where the mount is finished, painted. The spacers are welded onto the knuckles. Yes, Graham, they are getting double sheared. I machined the tabs for that over the last couple of days at work.
That's good. I wasn't sure if you were just taking that picture as a troll or what, but I know we had talked about them, and I was like, well, he's welded it all on and bolted everything up, but he doesn't have the double shear, so I'm going to just
also
ask to piss him
wasn't
off.
okay. So you were just trolling.
Yes.
Yeah, no, those are getting done. Tomorrow I'm not working, so I'm going over to Logan's. I got the brackets, I got the cooler, I have the lines. Like, we're at the point now where it just all needs to go and get assembled, filled, bled, bolted down, and torqued down. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
like, I probably have a good 3 hours to 4 hours worth of work ahead of me to finish it, but it's not unreasonable work. It's the biggest bitch of it is going to be working around my shattered header panel to get the cooler in, because the cooler is the same height as the radiator, so that's not going to be a pleasant one to get installed.
Yeah, I understand that. Did you make your own mount or did you buy a mount?
Everything on there except for the RAM and the orbital and the lines I have made.
Nice.
So the actual mount itself is all quarter wall dom or quarter wall square. I just
Okay,
took
nice.
I cut the old tie rod because it
Uh-huh.
spans between knuckle to knuckle, and then I cut up the old drag link and I made two bars that run out to the sea, and then in the center, slightly offset from the center, there's a piece of 2x2, and then I laid a piece of 1/4 inch over that. It's all welded into the axle to form kind of like a ladder structure, but with some minor triangulation in there. And my thought was that it was beefier than like the Barnes 4-wheel drive mount or similar, being all quarter wall tube. And then I just obviously burned it home. To prevent one thing that I don't like that I didn't realize was super common is that the rams use 3/8 bolts or half-inch bolts. I would think that they would have had larger bolts through them, but I used an industrial, I forget what it's rated for exactly. I think it was 7K, but it might be a 5K rated ram. And I just used the 3/8 bolts that bolt through it, but I made tabs that are a half-inch tall that are welded next to where the ram sits, so the ram can't shift side to side if the bolts were ever to come loose. And I thought that that was a nifty little add-on. And then it's just 3/4 inch bolts with the Barnes knuckle at the actual ram, because all that shit bolted up. So we should be pretty Gucci soon.
Yeah.
I'm gonna suggest something. Because you're a 3-link on the. Are you a 4-link on the front?
3-link.
3-link. So what I ran into was one of my lines rubbing my track bar mount. So I just got some of that it's like plastic wrap kind of thing that goes around like hydraulic lines. I just ran that around that just to protect the line. Because eventually it was rubbing through my line. Just a suggestion.
Noted. I will definitely be looking into that. Right now, the goal is just to get it fucking steering. Everything else afterwards that's a project for tomorrow, if you know what I mean.
Oh, I get that. I totally understand.
And then to add more stress to it, I have to get my rig out of Logan's house by Friday.
Oh boy.
Shit.
Yeah, so they
Chop,
have
chop. We're running out of time.
They have an appraiser coming because I believe that house is getting sold, and then that's why I'm moving shop locations. But I have to get my junk out of there because I'm not helping them with, trying to sell it with where the Jeep currently is. So some of my plans have been altered. Like, I could make the half doors and whatnot at the house or not half doors, but like the tube to close in where I opened up with the door being off. That shit I can all do at the house. That's not a problem, other than I don't have air, so I'm going to have to manually row the bender. But I don't think I'm going to be able to build the transfer case skid that I wanted to build before the meet and beat, just due to the fact that everything's changing and I don't have control over that situation.
Yeah, I mean, just making the best of the situation that you're handling. I mean, that's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, if it's steering and I have some protection on the doors, I'm sending it to the meet and beat. That is what it is. And then once the appraisal's done, I'll be able to run it back over there. I won't be able to do as intricate of fab projects as I was planning on doing, but the rig's ready to go to the meet and beat at this point.
There you go, brother.
Speaking of skid plates, Richie.
Yes.
If you want a skid plate for your Comanche, the XJ skid plate transfer case, I think it's just a transfer case skid plate from Barnes, will fit the Comanche as long as you put a wedge in it. I think it's you got to wedge it 2 inches. Because I bought it because I needed one for my skid plate, and literally we just put 3/16 wedge in it, and because I guess the body rails on the Comanche spread out faster than spread out farther than what the XJ does. So I think the XJ is straight.
Yeah.
All you do is put a wedge in it, and it'll fit up to the Comanche.
Well, that's no.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I can send you some pictures too. There should be some on my Instagram too if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah. Are you going to the meet and beat or the web wheelers ball?
Not the meet beat. I talked about this. Writing and stuff is making it.
Oh yeah.
like making it kind of hard for me to travel right now. Web wheelers maybe, depending on that's just depending on work and stuff with that too.
Well,
Okay.
if you end up making it out to the Web Wheelers Ball, let us know beforehand, and we will plan to meet up with you and run some trails.
Oh, for sure.
So,
Right
and
on.
like I said, if you end up at AOP or depending on the work situation and like what weekends I have off and everything, I would be down for another s'more trip this year. It's just a little bit of an undertaking for me to plan because it's 8 hours away. So like,
Oh, I understand that. Yeah. I mean, if you want to go closer, I live an hour away from a few parks, and we can hit a few parks within
hey, hold up.
within a day. Sorry.
You want to just quickly disconnect and reconnect because you've roboted 3 times really quick there, so I think the connection's going wonky.
Yeah. Hang on one second.
Let's see.
Um,
Welcome back.
that better?
Much better.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So if you want to go to S'more, that's fine. But I also live like within an hour of a couple parks too. So if you wanted, you could just come stay with me, and we could hit a couple parks in a couple days.
Hell
rather than
yeah.
just one park. Rather than just one park.
I mean, I'm down for whatever.
Okay, sounds
just-
good, man.
It all comes down to timing. There's going to be a lull in July, but also I do have to balance the fact that I want to hit more local spots. But I'll make something happen.
I totally understand, man. So Grimbino, why is everybody giving you shit about 14 days left?
Oh, well, they all thought that I wasn't gonna have my rig done in time because I've been working on the green machine, and it's taken me longer than I expected or would have liked it to. But I mean,
Is
I
that
don't know.
really the reason?
Yeah.
You know the reason.
What do you mean?
Name
thought the whole
one
reason-
trip where you have not been up till 4 a.m., loading it on the trailer, sleeping in the truck, and then going.
Oh, I mean, we're probably not gonna be there because I've got my shit on the trailer 2 weeks in advance. But I mean, I pray for you. You only got a 2-hour drive, but I don't know if your shit's gonna be done. You're still working on your double shear.
I mean, that is a fair assessment, but at the
I
same
gotta change
time,
a power steering pump. That's 3 bolts. But it was working fine when I put it on the trailer. I gotta clean my battery grounds to the bus bar because the starter was not super happy about starting it. But it's not that it was the starter's fault. It was like just bad grounds or bad power lead. So gotta just clean those. They've been sitting all winter. Fill my tires, although they held air the whole trailer ride home, which
shocking.
I was
Reds that
surprised.
held air for a trailer ride.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you saw the driver front inner bead, you'd be surprised it held air too. It's pretty well pushed in there. So I gotta just take that wheel off, hammer it straight, and I mean, otherwise it doesn't.
Oh, that is
doesn't need
another
anything
fun
crazy.
thing.
It just
I
looks
have
like
to
hell. It
swap
doesn't
over to
doesn't
the,
operate like hell.
I'm not going to give you that one. I have to swap over to the Steelies or the Ford Steelies before the meet and beat.
Oof. Walk of shame.
Yeah,
Back to the Steelies.
it be like that, but someone's got to represent.
That's fair.
Eventually, it'll be Richie
Yeah.
because Cody's going to continue to look at the wontons for at least another year.
No. That's not true.
I'm just giving you
I
shit
feel like
because
it's
it's
way more credit than you should be. I'm not going wontons next year. Fuck that.
Richie.
Yeah, but one time there's so much fun.
They're
Yes,
one
they
ton of
are.
fun. I don't know. I just have to give you shit and be like, "Come on, go!" Because right now we've got 2 pigs that are racing, and neither one of them appears to want to race. So
No.
we gotta keep poking.
Yep. Never stops.
Nope.
Yeah, mine doesn't need anything crazy. I thought it was gonna need more, honestly, but
I
I
honestly
mean,
thought it needed a lot more, Graham. That's
No.
the whole reason
it
why.
doesn't need any fabrication or anything. It's just basic stuff. And I was honestly
Broken
kind of
looking.
worried. I was worried as well because I was worried about the whole trailer situation and all that. But it all fell together really, really nice. So I've always just rented a trailer from a buddy of ours, and finally this year was like, I'm not going on a trip without my own trailer. And
So you
I
bought a
just,
trailer?
yeah, I bought that one. That's mine.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So my
Congrats,
Jeep
brother.
on the trailer was my Jeep on my trailer. Well,
Nice.
it wasn't registered, but yeah, that's mine. It's sitting in Marvell's swamp.
Okay, it's a good
Yeah.
start. It's at least
Perfect.
this
That's
side
where
of the
that's
state.
right where it should live. At least
What
for
kind
now.
of is it, Graham?
Hmm?
So what kind of trailer is it?
It's a PJ trailer that my Jeep fits on. It's like 20 feet, 22 feet, something like that.
It's the PJ buggy hauler.
Oh, so is it 5,200 pound axles?
I think it's a 10K,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
It definitely is a 10K. It's a slightly older version of the one I've just been renting, which is perfect because it's exactly what I wanted. But it's older, but it's not in any worse shape. It's actually got a box on it. The other one that I've been renting doesn't have a box on it. It has the ramps, which I don't know if I'm going to keep or take off yet. I'm probably going to keep them because the amount of times my shit has to get pushed back onto the trailer is higher than 0.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. It was good deal for a trailer in good shape, and good buddy of mine owned it
Yeah.
previously, so it's not
My
like I was
dreams-
buying a wild card where I didn't know what the maintenance was, especially when I'm about to take
Yeah.
it to Tennessee. So
My dream's at 24-foot, 14K, so I can put a pop up on the front of it.
yeah,
I don't know.
Sorry,
So
go.
I don't know what I want at this point. So the old Appalachian 7K is going to continue to scream on.
I was
That
just gonna
poor-
say. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I was looking at Marvell had another trailer that he was eyeing, but was gonna end up. I would have probably bought it, stored it at his place, same sort of deal. But it was $1,000 less. But I mean, I looked at the 14K and it's just heavy, and I'm just thinking about what realistically I'm gonna use it for, and that's pulling the Jeep, and I don't really need any extra weight along with the Jeep.
The
if I don't-
other
if I can
thing,
help it, right? I 99% of the time I'm in a hammock, so
yeah, the
Yeah,
other
no,
thing
I don't
with
need
the
That shit.
the 10K though, also like you can still put a 2500 on it. You might be struggling to fit a 3500 on it, but a
Yeah.
2500 will happily go on there. My Ford was 7,200 pounds. So that still leaves you 2,800 pounds for trailer weight.
yep.
Yeah.
Does Massachusetts have that gay shit where if it's over 9,990 pounds, it has to be registered commercial?
I don't know. I haven't registered it yet. I'm probably gonna
Okay.
run it on JB's plates and then register it when I get back. But I gotta see when I can get to the RMV. He said
Makes
that was
sense.
fine, so
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
otherwise I wouldn't do that.
Like, yep, these are mine.
And if he's listening to this and he doesn't want me to do that, he just needs to message me and I'll just go make sure I get it registered. But I'm pretty sure he said it was fine. So
JB's a good dude.
yeah,
Agreed.
and he has no trailers right now. He has absolutely no trailers.
What
he
the
sold
fuck?
he sold the goose and he just sold the single car to me. So he's got nothing right now for the Wheeling for Warriors trip. He's
Oh
got
my
he's got to
God.
buy something.
Good lord.
Not a bad problem to have, I guess.
Yeah, I was
Hey, he
thinking about
made his choices.
getting a gooseneck at some point. It's just like at that point that I need a bigger truck because I know the F2. I'm sure the 460 could do it, but at the same time is at some point I'm going to get two rigs and some kind of like camping thing on the front of it. So definitely going to need a bigger truck at some point.
Yeah. 2 rigs and a camper setup, that's a lot of weight for
Yeah,
a
that's
2500 or
heavy.
250.
Yeah. Well, and a single axle too. It's not even a dual axle. So
You
Yeah,
could probably, depends on the weight.
at that point,
I'm not that type of guy.
at that point, just you're
just buy a truck for hauling.
Yeah,
right.
you're
Yeah.
unfortunately looking at a newer diesel, just
for
due to the
sure.
weight.
Oh, for sure. I know that. And like I said, so right now, a 14K 24 with a pop up on the front, and I can still fit the Comanche on it. That'd be fine for us right now. We're tired of tent camping. You know, wheeling all day, going to tent, sleep, get up again. Like I get up, I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore.
So I confess to being a bad person and wheeling until I'm ready to pass out, passing out wherever, and then waking up and doing it again.
You're also almost 10 years younger than me, so
Yep. We'll see if he's still got this mentality in 10 years.
I won't. It'll be all cabin camping, and it's gonna be great.
You're gonna be real
Well,
grumpy.
that's the biggest problem with S'more. Their freaking cabins are like $210 a night.
I bet they're
Ooh.
worth it though. That place is
True.
nice.
How big are they?
No,
They're not worth it.
That's a room with a shower and maybe a little kitchenette.
Oh boy.
Well, that sucks because the showers at S'more are bomb. You don't even need to use. You don't need a cabin to have a nice shower.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's like, and what sucks about S'mores too is the closest Airbnb is like 30 to 45 minutes away, which sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, isn't it?
Terrible.
Yeah, it's
that
it's in the
sucks.
middle.
You
of
don't wanna
nowhere
be-
in Missouri.
That's like why I don't understand why everybody's like, oh, well, I'd rather go and sleep at the hotel for Roush and stuff. It's like, well, then you're not on the property. Like, that's
It's
half
like
the fun.
10 minutes on the road, and you actually
Yeah,
have a
still.
shower. That's the only reason why it was
No, I
worth
don't-
it.
I
And
don't get
I
it.
was
It
dying of
disconnects you.
heat stroke. I'm sorry, okay? Jesus,
That's fine.
man.
I mean, if it's a medical emergency, yeah, get the hotel room. But like otherwise, I don't know. I want to be connected with what I'm doing, and I don't want to leave
No, that's fair.
the property. I want to be there. I want to be able to get up and be like, oh, I'm at Roush. I'm gonna have a good day, instead of I'm
That
at a
is
hotel
true.
room in some sketchy ass like Trenton hotel room. Not that
Nothing,
Trenton's or wherever it is.
nothing's better than waking up, dragging your ass out of the fucking tent, looking at your boys, and just being like, "Well, we ride
Here
at
we
noon."
go.
Yes, exactly.
Ride till dawn.
The thing with Roush too is like, since they don't have night wheeling this year at the Web Wheelers Ball, I'm gonna be, as soon as I can get up and get moving, I want to be getting towards the trail, or if I have to fix something, fixing
well,
it.
So you're saying that the boys aren't going to want to party around a campfire, and you're expecting that to actually happen?
I'm not saying that. No, I'm saying that I think it's perfectly reasonable to get on trail by 10. That's not unreasonable.
Yeah.
Chris Ayasho is probably laughing at you right now.
Yeah, he's like, I'm up at 7. I already shaved my head, so I'm ready to go for the day.
I shaved my
I-
head, my
signed up
wife
for-
buffed it, and then we had the JK out. We ran 16 black trails.
Signed
And
up
it's
for
not even
By the
10.
time they get back, they've already run the whole property every time. He's like, oh yeah, we're loading it up. We're going home. It's like 12 o'clock.
We're like, oh, you got any eggs?
Damn.
We forgot eggs.
Do you have food?
You got any spares?
Any
stuff that you don't
leftovers?
want? Yeah.
I totally agree with you. Ioshua's last name, there's no U in it. So why the hell is it Ioshua?
There is. It's just in a weird spot.
Yeah, I think
yeah, okay. There is, yeah, it's in, but there's no U after the O though, is there?
oh, it's I after E except
IOSUA.
after C, brother.
Oh,
Ayusa.
Ayusa.
podcast. I can't.
Did I get it right? Have I been saying it right?
No, it's Ayashua. I think
That's
no,
what I've been
yeah,
saying.
you're right. Yeah, you have got it correct.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I just now it's working. Yeah, Ayusa is not the correct pronunciation, even though that's literally how it's
right.
spelled. But
It's
Yeah, right.
enunciation.
Yeah.
Pronouncing a word or enunciating
there's no H.
the word.
this is English. We have rules.
There are no rules in English, and you know that.
All right, Josh, I got a question for you. It's my typical one. What is your favorite DOT off-road tire, and what is the worst DOT off-road tire?
So I have wheeled on Generals, The
Mm,
and I have liked them. I'm not saying they're a bad tire. They're not a good tire. They're mediocre.
preach. Oh, Okay. I'll go kill myself. It's fine.
No. Not a bad tire for an entry level tire, like for an off-road tire. Like they're perfectly fine. Like our club gets a discount on them, so that's why a lot of people run them. But yeah, no, I actually like them a lot. They were very good off road compared to some other comparably priced tires. I do like my Baja Bosses. The tread pattern is awesome. I mean, they're like you guys have always said, they remind me of the Goodyear MTRs from back in the day.
But they're actually good.
Yeah, this is true. You're right. There's no bad patches, right? But I'd have to say for right now, my favorite is probably the Baja Boss.
Wow. Okay.
Not that the General is terrible, but I mean I wheel on the Baja Boss, and I've done some hard stuff with them and stuff.
Hard
and they
stuff
get
done easily
yes,
because
basically.
of tire.
Yeah, I guess. And then there might be some
driver
gearing.
skill. Yeah.
Well, not driver skill. I can't driver shit. But
Oh, so you fit right in. Do you want like a
Yeah.
co-host slot?
Cody's gonna be up here soon.
I mean, my fiance seems to drive better than I do, so we'll leave that up to debate.
Wait, how did I get kicked out first?
Because you're the one that going to AOP.
All right,
Yeah, you
all
did
right.
make that.
Dang it, that's fair.
You're gonna owe Logan is your spot for a little.
No.
No.
I'm getting the
don't get
tattoo.
MS.
No. There's all right. He ain't getting no fucking spot. He could eat my ass.
At least 1 or 2 episodes. Come on.
Nope.
But
Fuck that guy.
I guess the worst one, I'm gonna be like the masses and say Patagonias. I mean, I've only seen the old style. I haven't seen the new style wheel, so I couldn't tell you.
That's the newest excuse. Oh, you haven't seen their newest ones.
Well,
Hey,
yeah,
hey.
and I understand that, and I'm
Yeah.
not saying I'm not saying it's a bad tire for certain situations, but here in the Midwest, they are not good. Like they just like our wheeling's probably pretty similar to what you guys are out, in New England and stuff like that. Slick rock. It rains, you're not getting any traction. Kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, if anything, you guys probably have it worse. I bet you have more clay in your dirt than we do.
well, yeah, I mean, look at S'more. Once it gets freaking slick, you're not climbing shit out there.
No.
But I mean, I think the biggest problem with the Patagonias is there's no gaps in there. So like, there's no way for the tread block to grab anything.
What you're saying
So,
is
like,
we need to cut them and groove them.
Yeah, give him a net and a cut.
And the
Like shit. But no, I think that's the biggest problem is like the tread blocks just don't grab shit here. And then like out in the West, you don't need tread blocks. All-terrains can climb anything out there.
Need drag slicks.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit on any kind of tire, but I mean, from what I've personally seen and like driven, Patagonias just don't do. The old ones don't do shit. Like I said, I've never seen the new ones do anything either, but I haven't seen many rigs with them.
That's a fair point. It's a very fair point. All right. So now the next big question is supposedly you prepared for this one. Can you give us a small animal fact?
Evidently, hamsters age 25 times faster than a human being.
Holy shit.
Okay.
So they age 1 year and 15 days of a human life, if that makes sense.
That's fucked.
Damn. So like,
That's cool.
how long? How many years do hamsters normally even last?
I don't know.
If you tell me
Googled it.
if a hamster survives 4 years, that's 100-year-old like little human sitting there.
I'm assuming, yeah.
That's crazy.
Average
Also-
lifespan of a hamster. Let's see.
2,225 years. It's actually a tortoise.
Let's
Did you
see.
get the
Let's
Google?
see.
I
Type in as
didn't-
fast as I can.
I didn't know if you were actually Googling or just
1.5 to 3.5 years. Ah, checks out.
3.5 years. I'd say about 80. Yeah, okay, that's fair then. That's fair.
Yeah. Also, guinea pigs make 13 different sounds.
What the
Guinea
fuck?
pigs are illegal in Boston now. Or at least
What?
Are they real?
that's what
Why?
Instagram told me. I don't
Because
know,
people
you're
are
not allowed
probably
to
eating
sell 'em.
them. Yeah, probably because people are eating them.
Why
Eating
are
them.
people eating guinea pigs?
I
That's
don't.
like eating a rat.
No, like it's actually wicked common for people to eat guinea pigs.
Are they adult? What?
I don't know. Do people eat fucking bird nest soup? Okay, like people eat weird shit.
So guinea pigs can grow to a very decent size. There's species of guinea pigs that are bred specifically for their meat because they get to the size of like a rabbit and they breed like no fucking tomorrow. So you could start out with just a handful of guinea pigs and within a year or two you have like 50 of them and you have a limitless supply of fucking food.
Okay, so they haven't banned
judge
them
me.
yet, but they want to ban the sale of them. And it's not because people are eating them; it's because apparently they require more work than people expect. To
They
care
were
for.
babies, but they're not castrating people. What's going on here?
Basically, New England's turning into like China, and if you have a male child, they kill him off or whatever it is over there.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I saw that. There's my 2 cents on
Your
animal
animal
facts.
fact.
That's crazy.
Yep, no more guinea pigs. Illegal.
That's too funny.
Well, you
Don't
guys
get any
are
ideas. No eating guinea pigs, people. That's fucked.
I mean, squirrel and rabbit is probably like the most like obscure stuff that I've eaten.
I would go for possum stew.
Well, you live in Tennessee, so that's probably normal.
I mean, did you hear any argument?
No, you're right. I get it.
I mean, alligator's pretty good too.
Oh, I
Just
love
like
alligator.
chicken.
Alligator's
Just
awesome
chicken.
too.
Everything's just chicken to you,
No,
Graham.
they all taste like there's a reason we only eat beef, pork, and poultry. It's because they're the best.
Domesticated farming, and they were
Yeah,
one of
well,
the
it's also
easiest
because they're the
animals.
best tasting meat. Everything else just tastes like that, just slightly worse. Except
Nah,
for rattlesnake,
venison's
that's
banging.
like weird.
I know
Rattlesnake's weird.
frog legs are pretty good.
Pretty sure frog legs taste like chicken too.
They basically do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's all the same. But it's way
Venison
easier to
does
raise
not
chickens
taste
than
like
frogs.
beef.
It does
Yeah, you're
not.
right.
It's
It's gamey and like it's good, but like not as
I
good.
thought you were
as,
gonna
like,
say gross, and you
beef.
said good. I was like, oh, you're
So
about to
did I.
get
It's like,
fucking.
what?
No. I
People
don't.
are gonna love
I will
this.
eat venison all day long, but it's not as good as ground beef or
It's
pork.
because venison's lean.
Hot
Venison's
take.
too
That's
lean.
wrong.
Not a hot take. That is.
Well,
like,
it's also
normal person
inconsistent
take.
too, because like the reason why most steaks taste the same if it's just the same cut is because it's all regulated foods. You know what I mean? Where like deer just eat whatever deer are gonna eat. So like
Yeah.
like where some people aren't gonna love the idea of like wild game because it might taste different. Like my cut could taste different than your cut if it's from two different animals. So
Oh, that makes sense.
Interesting.
Yeah.
yeah,
Interesting thing with that too. That's why bears that are shot by the city taste like shit compared to bears that are shot like in the middle of the wilderness, if you
Because the
will.
bears are eating garbage, basically.
Uh huh. Yep.
Moose is good. I had moose.
Moose
burgers
is
before.
good.
Those are good.
Which is good, yeah.
Bison is also really good.
Oh yeah.
I had bison.
Well,
I had
bison
kangaroo.
is good.
That tastes like I don't know.
Tastes
I
like
forget what it
pork.
tastes like. Does it?
I don't know. I was just throwing out one
I
of
think
the
it tastes
three
kinda like-
possible animals.
Denser chicken, if I remember correctly.
What are we talking
It's
about?
been a while. Kangaroo.
Kangaroo.
oh, I can't ever say I've partaken in the
I've eaten
eating of
kangaroo.
where
It was a Boy Scout thing.
you went to Australia with the Boy Scouts.
No. We just did this thing. We had a bunch of the guys.
Oh,
were
so
really-
that shit probably don't even
they just
count, dude.
like
If it's
cooking
not
shit,
fresh.
and they just did this one thing where it was like meat. They called it meat on a stick. So they just got a bunch of exotic meats, and you got to eat a bunch of stuff. So that's where a lot of like weird things I've tried were from trips. Some of those from those trips. I ate rattlesnake on those, kangaroo, alligator. There's some other weird ones
House
too that I don't
cats.
remember. No, none of those. No guinea pigs. No house cats. No dogs.
So have you guys ever had Vegemite? Since we're talking about Australia.
I have. It's very salty.
I don't like it. I have had it as well.
It's
Yeah.
weird. It's a weird consistency.
You have to remember too, like every time somebody tries it though, like I've learned now is like you're not supposed to put a fuck ton on the piece of bread. It's like it's supposed to be a light amount, like that almost like dissolves into the butter just to give it a saltiness. So like the people
Okay.
yeah, like so like at the time that I had it, I put it on like a peanut butter jelly. Like that amount of peanut butter and it just tasted like I was licking a salt lick from a horse. It was just like like it just clumped up in your mouth. It's nasty. So that's something to consider. You ever have Vegemite again, like make sure you put it on like butter with or put it on toast with butter and it should help the flavor, quote unquote, supposedly. Yeah. So
on that note, would you eat horse meat?
Yes.
What
Guess
about
what?
beefalo?
Definitely would eat beefalo.
That's a throwback.
Beefalo?
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the beefalo in a while. How is
Have we
that
talked
beefalo
about
doing?
a beefalo?
You don't remember
Cody?
this?
Was
How
I
do you
here?
not remember the
Are you present?
beefalo?
When
Yeah,
when I
Richie
went
had a
down,
buffalo on his property.
Oh my god. Okay, Jesus Christ, dude. My brain is literally shot. All right, it's melting. I'm a
Indeed.
desk bitch now, dude. Like I actually have to use my brain at work. Like I don't know. I don't know how you people do it. Like, I
and
just want
to answer your question, Graham, the beefalo that I was talking about down in West Virginia, he is doing great down in Florida. I'm not joking.
Who brought him to Florida?
It
They
was
captured
from
him.
it was a animal rescue that took him in down in Florida.
Are they sure
That's
they didn't
funny
bring
as
him
fuck.
the big cat rescue as a meal?
Yeah, I'm sure. There's updates and shit. If you look it up online, you can find like
The roaming beefalo and where his whereabouts.
yeah.
That's amazing.
That's
yeah.
a children's book.
So not to be that guy, but we're coming up on 3 hours here.
3 hours. Holy shit, Josh! You gotta shut up next time. Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
You got any questions for us?
I think I've answered. I think I asked everybody a question about their rigs and stuff like that. So I think we're pretty good.
Alrighty.
Yeah, man.
Anyone got any final thoughts?
No, just thank you for coming on, man. You've been absolutely incredible. And where can people follow you on social media so they can stay updated with all the Manche things and soon to be LJ things, hopefully?
So Manche things will be WontonManche on Instagram. I'm Josh Dautenhahn on Facebook, but I really don't add people that I don't really know on Facebook as friends. So Instagram, you can find all builds and off-road stuff. LJ, when we start building, it'll probably get its own page so we can follow that build. So
Oh yeah,
I'll
but
keep
once
you
you
guys
get that,
posted.
I was gonna say once you get that rock and roll, we'll have to have you back on and talk about all the fun things with that.
Let's see what happens after the web wheelers ball.
Mm,
Not mine.
Mr. Roboto.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, it's no problem at all. You can't always control everything about it, so don't stress it, man.
Well, on that note, RJ, buy that Dana 60, you bitch. And when you're going out wheeling, make sure to tag along a couple of little guys because that's how the sport actually grows in a healthy manner. And I think the amount of effort that we spend on thinking about other people's perceptions of us is a wasted time when you could spend that effort on improving your own self-perception